Chapter 201. Yichun nodded towards these few people and smiled at the others. Then, without wasting any more time at the edge of the sea island, boom! He flew up into the sky. Moments later, he disappeared from everyone's view. Only after Yichun had completely vanished did the others take a deep breath and looked at each other. Without speaking, they each flew towards different directions of the fourth sea island. A short while later, the landing spot on the island was left with only Wang Luocheng, who still stood there foolishly with his spirit sea shattered. After flying hundreds of miles above the sea island, Yichun stopped in midair. He opened his hand and examined the black pearl that had transformed from the wooden token on Wang Luocheng's body. When Yichun defeated Wang Luocheng, the wooden token flew towards him and turned into a black pearl. Yichun found it odd, but through the information conveyed by the black pearl, he finally understood why the wooden token had become a black pearl. It turns out that besides guiding adventurers in ancient tombs, the wooden token had a hidden function. If the holder of the token was killed or had their cultivation completely crippled, the token would turn into a black pearl and fly into the hands of the victor, and guide them to a treasure trove for them to seek out treasures. This black pearl was the guide to the location of such a treasure. And the black pearl Yichun had obtained was guiding him to a secret treasure site known as Fire Elemental Spring. Although he should have been pleased to accidentally obtain the clue to the secret treasure site, Yichun felt an unpleasant premonition. That was, he always had the feeling that there was something inexplicably weird about these ancient tombs. Long before entering the tomb, Yichun had heard Fairy Jialuo recount many things about Heavenly Saint Linghua. Fairy Jialuo had said that Linghua was extremely kind-hearted. This extremely kind-hearted Heavenly Saint Linghua also cultivated the metal, wood Heavenly Void laws. However, after entering the tomb, when everyone was divided into 10 groups to venture through 10 sea islands, Yichun felt that the arrangement within the tomb seemed to have more to do with the water, earth, Heavenly Void laws. It simply didn't seem like the work of Linghua's laws. About the Heavenly Void law, Yichun had only learned some from Fairy Jialuo, and even if he had suspicions, he dared not be certain. But when he defeated Wang Luocheng and received the peculiar black pearl, a vague intuition in Yichun's heart suggested that everyone might have been mistaken about the tomb. It might not have been left by Heavenly Saint Linghua after all, because even if Heavenly Saint Linghua were to leave behind a treasure, he would not have used such a method to make people fight over it. The concept that one could get clues about the treasure by killing others or crippling their cultivation would undoubtedly lead to a bloody and endless battle once discovered by those exploring the tomb. And with the competition for places to enter the central giant island, the inevitable struggle and discovery of the secret of the treasure clues would be unavoidable. Following this method of tomb exploration, in the end, a great many people who entered the tomb would surely die. This method was clearly not something that the extremely kind-hearted Heavenly Saint Linghua would leave for the tomb explorers of the Heavenly Wind Kingdom. Could it be that everyone was wrong, and this is not the tomb of Heavenly Saint Linghua? Then whose tomb could it be? Thinking of these questions, Yichun's expression turned grave. Yichun looked up at the gloomy sky, at the vast sea beyond the islands. Beyond the weirdness of the tomb, he was even more concerned about Zhang Yao, who was currently on one of the other islands. If someone on the island where Zhang Yao was located discovered the secret of the Black Pearl treasure and went to kill others for it, Zhang Yao could be in danger. And Yichun, unable to fly to the other islands due to the flying restriction, could not go to help Zhang Yao. Hopefully, nothing happens. Zhang Yao's bloodline secret skills have reached the second transformation, and her strength is not much different from other half-step rotating pills. As long as she doesn't face a group attack from several half-step rotating pills, she'll be fine. Besides, she has her flying sword skills. If, considering a possibility, Yichun's eyes filled with deep killing intent. If anyone really targets her, forces her to sustain injuries within the island, no matter how many people there are, when we meet at the central giant island, I'll make them deeply regret it. Gazing at the endless sea, Yichun's eyes sparkled with determination. After a while, Yichun lowered his head again. He clenched the black pearl in his hand. No matter how peculiar this ancient tomb is, no matter what else we encounter, strength is the most important. Since this black pearl is related to the treasure, let's first check out the place where the treasures are. Fire Elemental Spring. This black pearl said this spring is profoundly mysterious. Let's witness it. Yi Chen's figure moved and turned into a streak of light that, following the guidance on the black pearl, flew toward the west of the fourth sea island. Just after Yi Chen uncovered the secret of the black pearl, chaos also erupted on the other islands. On the third sea island, Fairy Nishang of the Moon Concealing Sect was holding 3 black pearls in her hand, and beside her lay the corpses of 3 half-step rotating pill experts. Treasure black pearls? I didn't expect that after being surrounded and attacked by 3 half-step rotating pill experts from the Cloud Sky Sect, I would obtain these 3 black pearls after slaying them. Black pearls, the treasure location. This ancient tomb really has some odd tricks, combining clues to the treasures with murder. Fairy Nishang also furrowed her brows. After a while, she sighed. Forget it. Let's go see these treasure locations first. As she murmured to herself, as if vanishing into thin air, Fairy Nishang disappeared. The 8th Sea Island, that was where Zhang Yao was located. At this moment, in a valley on the island, with black hair cascading down like a waterfall, the clear and stunningly beautiful Zhang Yao's clear eyes were filled with anger. In the sky, a few hundred meters away from her, were 3 half-step rotating pill experts closing in on her from 3 different directions. Little girl, just accept your death willingly. Blame only yourself for the wooden token in your hands. It contains a treasure black pearl, and we 3 will not miss any treasures. The 3 half-step rotating pill experts sneered as they closed in on Zhang Yao, rotating the black pearls in their hands. At this moment, 2 of the 3 men each had a treasure black pearl. Clearly, they had already made their move to kill or cripple 2 other people. Trapped within the encirclement of the 3, Zhang Yao looked up at the 3 half-step rotating pill experts in the sky, her angry eyes gradually dissipating, turning into a resolute expression. I didn't expect such a situation as soon as I entered the ancient tomb. Even if it costs me bloodline damage, even if my life-bound flying sword skills diminish, I won't give up. I still have to meet Yi Chen at the central giant island. He will definitely be waiting for me at the central sea island. Thinking of this, an ice-blue spiritual pattern suddenly emerged on Zhang Yao's forehead. Clearly, Zhang Yao was preparing to make her move. Still hoping to struggle in your dying breath? Naive little girl, you're too naive. All 3 of us are strong half-step rotating pill experts from the Flame Sect. Do you think you can handle us? The 3 great half-step rotating pill experts in the sky had narrowed their encirclement to just a few hundred feet around Zhang Yao. The next moment, a great battle might break out. Just as the 3 great half-step rotating pill experts from the Flame Sect were about to make their move, and Zhang Yao was prepared to fight with all her might, a few sighs of a young girl suddenly came from the void. It is disappointing indeed that disciples of the Great Flame Sect, proud half-step rotating pill masters, would stoop to harming a young girl in the early stages of the Spirit Sea. Who? The 3 great half-step rotating pill experts from the Flame Sect looked up into the sky simultaneously. Zhang Yao also raised her eyes. Just then, 3 female figures slowly emerged in the void, all dressed in the garb of the Moon Concealing Sect, evidently people from the great 5th-ranked Moon Concealing Sect. Chapter 202, Eerie Shadow. The aura of these 3 women was astonishing. All 3 had indeed reached the half-step rotating pill realm. 3 more half-step rotating pill experts had arrived. On the 8th Sea Island where Zhang Yao was located, there were a total of 36 tomb explorers, among whom 6 were in the half-step rotating pill realm, and now all had gathered here. Seeing that the newcomers were also half-step rotating pill experts converging on Zhang Yao, the expressions of the 3 from the Flame Sect changed. The trio hadn't anticipated that the heritage Black Pearl, which seemed within their grasp, would encounter complications. Although they were not afraid of the 3 newcomers, with everyone at the half-step rotating pill realm, an actual confrontation would be troublesome. Is a mere heritage Black Pearl really worth the interference of 3 fellow Taoists from the Moon Concealing Sect? There are many people on this island, and later you could join us in competing for other heritage Black Pearls. The three from the Flame sect began to lobby the three female disciples from the Moon Concealing sect. Heritage Black Pearl? The leading female disciple from the Moon Concealing sect shook her head with a smile. We're not here for the Heritage Black Pearl. We've come for Yao. If you want to make a move against her, you'll have to get past the three of us first. Yao? The three from the Flame sect glanced at the Taishan sect clothing on Zhang Yao. Could it be that this young girl has ties with the Moon Concealing sect? From the intent of the Moon Concealing sect female disciple, it was clear that taking the Heritage Black Pearl from Zhang Yao wouldn't be easy. For a moment, the members of the Flame sect hesitated. After all, even if they managed to kill Zhang Yao and obtain the Heritage Black Pearl, it meant confronting three other half-step rotating pill powerhouses, a prospect that hardly seemed worthwhile. The Flame sect trio hesitated, and Zhang Yao also looked towards the three from the Moon Concealing sect with some confusion. She did not recognize them and had not expected them to stand up for her. Seeing Zhang Yao looking over, the three from the Moon Concealing sect nodded to her with a smile, and the leading female disciple turned her gaze back to the three half-step rotating pill practitioners of the Flame sect, asking with a smile, "So, do you want to take action? Or will you leave just like that?" "Fine. We'll give face to the three fellow Taoists today and let this little girl off this time. The mountain does not turn, but the rivers flow. We shall take our leave." With a stern look cast towards several individuals at the scene, the Flame sect members swept up their sleeves, shifted into a beam of light, and disappeared into the sky. Yao! As the three half-step rotating pill figures vanished, the eyes of the three Moon Concealing sect female disciples dimmed, and they walked over to Zhang Yao with a smile. "Do you sisters know me?" Zhang Yao asked the three who had helped her, looking somewhat puzzled. The three female disciples smiled gently. "Our master, Fairy Enisia, is good friends with your master, Fairy Jialuo. Yao, since the Heritage Black Pearl has caused unrest on this sea island, let us act together." Caused unrest. Zhang Yao nodded. The chilling intent to kill her that she had felt from the three half-step rotating pill practitioners of the Flame sect told her the situation had changed. "I wonder how Yi-chan is now. I'm afraid that the Heritage Black Pearl might involve all 10 sea islands." The young girl gazed beyond the sea island, her eyes filled with concern. Just as Zhang Yao had guessed, there was a killing spree on other islands as well. On the first sea island, 5 Spirit Sea later-stage strongmen had just slain 2 others and, as they stood behind them, 3 half-step rotating pill experts suddenly appeared, walking towards them with a cold sneer. On the 6th Sea Island, for Spirit Sea mid-stage martial artists were sprinting madly into the dense forest of the sea island, when from behind them came 4 sounds of whoosh, 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 as sky-shocking arrow lights shot towards them, piercing the 4 runners instantly. Heritage Black Pearl? Could it be that this ancient tomb is the tomb of one of our 10 great demon sect's heavenly saints? On the 7th Sea Island, within a secluded valley, a disciple of the Cloud-Soaring sect, who was at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm, murmured to himself while holding a black bead in his hand. Strangely, this disciple of the Cloud-Soaring sect actually referred to himself as a disciple of the 10 great demon sects. Moreover, when he touched the black bead, the originally blue-colored protective true chi around his body turned into strands of eerie black light. "Brother Shui, we should hurry and leave. Brother Shui, this black light on you." As the disciple was muttering to himself, another young man suddenly burst in behind him. When he saw the strange black light around Brother Shui, he couldn't help but cry out, "Boom!" Brother Shui turned his head to see the young man who had intruded suddenly. His expression changed. Then his face turned cold instantaneously, and he shot out a sky-shocking black radiance from his hand, piercing towards the young man instantly. "Brother Shui, you!" The young man, who was also at the later stage of the Spirit Sea realm, had no ability to defend himself against the black radiance's attack. He was pierced through his body in an instant, only managing to spit out a few words before he breathed his last. This Brother Shui of the Spirit Sea realm had burst forth with combat power that was on par with many who were at the half-step rotating pill stage, not the slightest bit weaker. "Too bad you saw what you shouldn't have seen." Brother Shui looked up at the young man who had fallen to the ground, spread his hand wide, and another black bead flew towards him. With the ancient tomb of the demon sect opening at such a time, perhaps the plan that our 10 great demon sects have been preparing for hundreds of years may advance ahead of schedule due to this opportunity presented by the ancient tomb. Let's wait and see to find out what this ancient tomb really holds. Brother Shui, with the black bead in hand, had a flash of cold light in his eyes. The black light in his body suddenly disappeared, returning to the normal protective true chi, and his figure vanished in a flash, disappearing into the valley. The cursed artifact, the black bead, had spurred endless killings across the 10 islands. Of the 349 people who entered the ancient tomb, more and more died. Many were disabled and turned into cripples, their spirit seas destroyed. The number of those still holding their wooden plaques was dwindling. As more people died or were disabled, all those who had entered to explore the tomb were unaware that in the deepest part of the ancient tomb, at the very heart of the colossal island surrounded by the 10 islands, a giant bronze coffin tightly locked by 8 massive iron chains in the great swamp, carved with the images of 8 green-faced, fanged demons, was beginning to glow faintly on the sculpture of a green-faced, tiger-headed demon. Boom! When the number of dead and disabled on the 10 islands reached 33, the bodies of the deceased and the disabled, spread across the 10 islands, were suddenly enveloped in a sky-shocking black light. Then all these bodies and disabled people disappeared without a trace. Even Wang Luocheng, who had been left in a daze by Yi Chan on the 4th Sea Island, completely vanished. As these 33 people disappeared, the eyes of the green-faced, tiger-headed demon on the giant bronze coffin suddenly flickered with a strange, ghostly green light. Not enough. This deathly aura is not enough for me, Tiger Demon Teng. To awaken, more must die, many more must die. In the end, the tiger-headed demon sculpture, whose eyes suddenly flickered with ghostly green light, actually emitted a voice. Above the giant coffin in the ancient tomb, this demon named Tiger Demon Tongue was able to produce human speech. This ancient tomb, which had been buried for thousands of years, still contained a voice. If Yi Chan and the others, as well as the rotating Pill Realm powerhouses from outside the tomb in the Heavenly Wind Kingdom, knew about this, they would be extremely surprised and vigilant, and might even seek the help of the 2 heavenly saints from the 13 countries of the southern heavens to investigate this ancient tomb. Unfortunately, nobody knew about the anomalies happening inside the tomb. Meanwhile, over the 4th Sea Island, Yi Chan, who was flying in the sky, had already glimpsed the boundary of the fire elemental spring, indicated by the cursed artifact, the Black Bead. Chapter 203, Spiritual Spring, Giant Willow. This was a valley on the western side of the 4th Sea Island. From the sky, this valley looked very similar to the countless other valleys on the island. A vast and utterly barren basin without a trace of vegetation. However, guided by the legacy Black Pearl, as Yi Chun flew above the valley and looked closely, he could sense faint fluctuations of the heaven and earth true chi emanating from below. Clearly, this valley was not barren at all. It was not as simple as it seemed and held secrets within. After flying back and forth over the valley a few times, Yi Chun stopped at a certain spot in the sky above it. Then he formed a spell with his hands. Suddenly, the legacy Black Pearl, transformed from the wooden plaque, burst out from his body and flew towards the valley below with a thunderous speed. When the Black Pearl reached just 2 or 3 zhang above the valley floor, it seemed to touch something and exploded with a bang. Subsequently, the initially barren basin was suddenly filled with bright light, as if a screen of light had been torn open. In the midst of this radiance, the desolate valley basin transformed in an instant. The previously vegetationless wasteland suddenly surged with endless heaven and earth true chi, as the valley seemed to transform into a prime cultivation sanctuary. Looking down at the very center of the valley, a spring pool about 14 to 15 meters in length and width appeared all of a sudden, with 7 or 8 huge spring eyes bubbling and spewing forth water, though these were no ordinary waters. All of them were red-colored spiritual springs, exuding endless heaven and earth true chi. Further beyond the spring pool, there stood 3 enormous willow trees growing at its edge. These 3 vast willows were hundreds of meters tall, almost as if they were about to pierce through the valley itself. Falling from the 3 willows were boundless willow branches, each hundreds of meters in length. What was magically unique was that these thousands of drooping branches, whether it was the leaves or the tips, all emitted a fiery red light similar to that of the spiritual spring's waters. Fire Elemental Spring. This was the fire elemental spring boundary that the legacy Black Pearl obtained by Yi Chun had indicated. The valley that originally seemed utterly barren was actually an illusion shown by the illusionary formation. Once this illusionary formation was broken by the legacy Black Pearl, the true form of the valley was revealed, as was this hidden treasure land, the fire elemental spring. Standing in the void, Yi Chun could feel the wonder of the fiery red waters in the fire elemental spring from a distance. Just by breathing in the mist from the springs of the valley, he could feel a surge of dense heaven and earth true chi turning into Gang Yuan true chi spiritual liquid as it entered his spirit sea. If one could really cultivate by these waters, the speed of cultivation might increase by tens of times. And according to what the legacy Black Pearl had said, the real treasure, the fire elemental spirit stone, was hidden beneath the spring eyes of the pool. It was this fire elemental spirit stone that continuously produced the waters of the fire elemental spring. If one could obtain the fire elemental spirit stone and carry it around, one might even continuously draw heaven and earth true chi from it to cultivate, until all the true chi within the stone was completely refined. Drawing heaven and earth true chi from the fire elemental spirit stone for cultivation was much faster than directly drawing it from the void, and it could also help replenish depleted true chi. It was a remarkable relic left by the ancient tomb owner, very useful for those who cultivate true chi. Just as Yi Chun broke the valley illusionary formation and revealed the fire elemental spring, the surrounding heaven and earth true chi began to shift. The rich heaven and earth true chi had an endless allure, and in an instant, it attracted the giant beasts from within a radius of several dozen miles around the valley. While Yi Chun was still inspecting the 3 giant willow trees and the fire elemental spring, beside them, howls could be heard as 5 great demons, each with a body length of several tens of meters, flew from the surrounding area towards the fire elemental spring below with explosive speed. By their actions, these great demons knew of the spring's wonders and sought to obtain its waters. The fire elemental spring was the treasure Yi Chun sought to claim, and he certainly would not let these great demons succeed. However, just as Yi Chun was about to intervene and stop these great demons, a strange change below caused him to halt his movements. Just as those 5 flying great demons approached within a few dozen meters of the fire elemental spring, the 3 giant willow trees by the pool suddenly underwent a transformation. The previously tranquil willows, as if stimulated suddenly, burst into action as their drooping branches shot up explosively, with a swish, swish, swish sound as the countless willow branches hundreds of meters long danced wildly in the air. With the fiery red light twinkling at the tips of the branches, the sprawling willow strands all turned fiery red, making the 3 giant willows look like a burst of sparkling fireworks. Boom! 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 As the 5 flying great demons continued to descend, dozens of willow branches nearest to their flight path suddenly shot out like lightning towards the demons. The speed of the willow branches' attack was simply inconceivable. Even Yi Chun, who was observing from the side, had his expression change drastically. Because Yi Chun found that the speed of these branches bursting forth was even faster than the hand speed of many half-step rotating pill masters. In the blink of an eye, the 5 mid-tier great demons were pierced through by the willow branches. A one-hit kill. As the willow branches pierced through the bodies of these 5 mid-tier great demons, the fiery red light on them flickered, immediately pulverizing everything inside the demons' bodies. These 3 willow trees had actually killed 5 mid-tier great demons with a single strike from their branches. Boom! After killing the 5 mid-tier great demons, dozens of willow branches shook and flung the corpses, smashing them loudly onto the ground. Afterward, the fiery red glow on the branches slowly faded away, and the branches drooped down once more, with the 3 giant willows returning to their previous stillness. From the moment the flying great demons charged towards the spiritual spring to when the willows burst forth and their branches slew the demons, all happened in an instant. This astonishing exchange also surprised Yi Chun, who was watching from the side. These 3 willow trees were by no means ordinary. They were more like 3 peerless masters guarding the spiritual spring. Their attack speed and lethality are even stronger than those of the half-step rotating pill masters I fought against. These willows are extraordinary. Just as Yi Chun wanted to test the might of the willows, once more, dozens of great demons rushed toward this valley from the sky above and the earth below, and the number of demons behind them kept increasing. These demons did not even notice Yi Chun in the sky. As soon as they arrived at the valley, they rushed towards the spiritual spring, just like the previous 5 flying great demons had done. And when these demons neared the spiritual spring, the 3 giant willows erupted once again, with the branches waging battle against countless great demons. These demons included low-tier, mid-tier, and even high-tier great demons. But no matter how formidable these demons were, they couldn't break through the defense of the 3 willow trees, and all were pierced to death within 40 to 50 meters of the spiritual spring. Before long, the corpses of the great demons piled up on the ground like small hills. The number of great demons killed by the 3 giant willows had surpassed several hundred. Chapter 204 Yi Chun Battles Willow Demon. The corpses of the great demons, as tall as small mountains, turned the entire valley into a river of blood, a sea of red. Above the sky and upon the land, the great demons rushing toward the valley stopped in their tracks when they saw the carnage, then looked at the 3 huge willow trees and all of them turned pale. The great demons already possessed intelligence. Although the fire elemental spring was immensely attractive to them, the presence of the 3 mighty willow trees instilled them with fear. Hundreds of great demons were slain by the 3 willows. Naturally, none of them wanted to be the next victim. Faced with the overwhelming power of the 3 huge willow trees, all the great demons were struck with terror. When they saw the countless hundreds of meters-long willow branches dancing wildly in the void, glowing fiery red as if exhibiting their immense killing power, the remaining great demons outside the valley eventually turned and fled in a frenzy. No longer daring to linger outside the valley or covet the fire elemental spring, shrouded by the willows. The 3 mighty willow trees not only killed hundreds of great demons but also completely scared away the rest. Utterly dominant. After scaring away all the great demons, the trunks of the 3 willow trees slowly began to radiate surging pale red halos. These halos spread from the trees and soon enveloped all the slain great demon corpses beneath them. Then, something eerie happened. As the pale red halos spread, the mountain-like piles of great demon corpses gradually melted away and diminished, until at last, all of the great demon corpses had vanished. Even the blood of the great demons on the ground seeped into the earth, and the whole valley returned to its original state, as if no slaughter had ever taken place. But after all the great demon corpses disappeared, the 3 huge willow trees appeared nourished, and both the leaves and trunks emitted strange glows. It looked as though the 3 willows had absorbed the essence of the dead great demons and become even stronger. Yi Chun, upon witnessing this scene, widened his eyes. All these great demon corpses have been devoured by these 3 willow trees, capable of slaughtering great demons and even absorbing their corpses. These are not ordinary trees. These are demon trees. Yi Chun had heard that some vegetation could devour the true chi of heaven and earth, evolving into great demons or even demon kings. It seemed that these 3 giant willow trees, growing beside the fire elemental spring, had indeed turned into demons. These were 3 willow demons, and they were exceedingly powerful, surpassing countless half-step rotating pills. It looks like I'll have to get past these 3 willow demons like the other great demons if I want to reach the fire elemental spring. With the strength of these 3 top-notch willow demons, I wonder if I can get past their attacks. Yi Chun's expression also became serious. He had seen how these 3 willow demons killed hundreds of great demons and had gained a deep understanding of their strength. Even though Yi Chun was now able to sweep through a large group of half-step rotating pills, he still felt unsure whether he could overcome these 3 willow demons. Let's try it. To battle these 3 willow demons. Even if I cannot defeat them, I'm confident I won't be killed by them. The fire elemental spring has nourished such powerful willow demons, I must obtain it. Yi-chan, standing in the void, radiated an intense desire to fight. Boom! Instantly, the surging Gang Yuan True Chi within him was released. As the Gang Yuan True Chi was unleashed, Yi-chen's aura soared to an astonishing level that caused the air in the void to explode, and then, like lightning, he charged fiercely at the three willow demons. Like the other great demons, as soon as Yi-chan approached within tens of meters from the fire elemental spring, the three willow demons discovered him and swiftly launched an attack. PSH, 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 PSH. In the blink of an eye, dozens of willow branches shot toward Yi-chan to pierce him. You unleashed hundreds of willow branches to deal with those high-level great demons. But for me, you only used dozens? Yi-chan smiled faintly as the sound swish, swish, swish rang out sharply. And in an instant, hundreds of swords made of true chi hovered around his body. These swords of true chi flickered, vanishing and reappearing, unmistakably exhibiting Yi-chen's mastery of the flash-kill sword formation from his four great sword formations. Swoosh! As soon as the flash-kill sword formation appeared, the flashing sword intent was released, and in an instant the swords of true chi vanished. The next moment, hundreds of swords of true chi suddenly materialized in front of the attacking willow branches, and an overwhelming murderous intent abruptly blossomed. Boom! 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 In the blink of an eye, the swords of true chi clashed with the lethal force of the willow branches from the three willow demons. This time, in the clash, the dozens of willow branches that could easily penetrate and kill a mid-level great demon were actually shattered by Yi-chen's sword formation in one strike, and several of the willow branches were even sliced apart. Clearly, the willow demon had underestimated Yi-chen's combat power, and in this first exchange of blows, it was at a disadvantage. Whoosh! 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 Having several of its willow branches cut by Yi-chen's swords of true chi, the three willow trees seemed to fly into a rage, all their willow branches over 100 meters in length, numbering more than 10,000, began to dance wildly, and the fiery red glow on the willow branches was dazzlingly flickering and surging. After a mere instant, more than 1,000 willow branches were assaulting Yi-chan together. Even when facing a high-level great demon, these three willow demons would only deploy a few hundred willow branches in their attack. But now, in the face of Yi-chan, the assault of the three willow demons had escalated to the level of several thousand branches. Evidently, the willow demon had been enraged and sought to kill Yi-chan in one move. Thousands of willow branches, each hundreds of meters long, filled the sky with their attack, and the entire sky seemed to be enveloped by fiery red lights. Every single willow branch emitted a dazzling fiery red glow, as if each were a flaming red sword piercing towards Yi-chan. Willow branches filled the sky, their sharp barbs everywhere. The astonishing murderous intent completely enveloped Yi-chan, a force that even surpassed all the opponents Yi-chan had faced before. Damn it! Yi-chan, caught under the onslaught of the willow branches, felt this overwhelming murderous force, and his face changed as he suddenly unleashed void instantaneous change. The next moment, Yi-chan had instantly moved 100 meters away. But what was eerie was that these willow branches seemed to sense Yi-chen's teleportation. Almost without the slightest delay, as soon as Yi-chan had just teleported 100 meters away, thousands more willow branches shot out towards him. This willow demon could actually sense Yi-chen's void instantaneous change. Boom! As the willow branches of these willow demons once again bore down on Yi-chen, he used void instantaneous change again. This time, Yi-chan did not teleport short distances but instead moved dozens of miles away in an instant, teleporting into the sky outside the valley, escaping the attack range of the three willow demons. Even as Yi-chan teleported with extreme speed, still hundreds of willow branches managed to reach and attack him. Yi-chan, who teleported into the sky outside the valley, was pierced in dozens of places on his body, with blood pouring out of each wound. If it weren't for his incredibly strong true chi and the robust body cultivated through his 9 transformation fighting body, which prevented the willow branches from piercing too deeply mere inches, this lapse could have allowed the willow demon to kill him outright. So powerful, too powerful. Could it be that these three willow demons have reached the rotating pill level? How could they see through my void instantaneous change? Yi-chun, who had teleported outside the valley and now stood in the sky, with golden light surging from his 9 transformation fighting body, watched as the numerous wounds on his body slowly healed. However, when he looked at the willow demons again, his expression had grown grave. Clearly, the strength of these willow demons exceeded Yi-chun's predictions. No, it must not be at the rotating pill level, otherwise I definitely wouldn't have escaped their instant kill. It must be just a hair's breadth from reaching rotating pill. Their perception seems limited to a few hundred meters around their bodies. Before entering the ancient tomb, Fairy Jialuo had communicated with Yi-chun. When Yi-chun previously fought against Xuejia at the half-step rotating pill level, exhibiting his void instantaneous change, Fairy Jialuo was watching. Fairy Jialuo had mentioned that although Yi-chun's void instantaneous change was effective against the Spirit Sea realm, once one's cultivation reached the rotating pill realm and touched upon the 5 great void heavenly principles, enshrouded by the void principles, Yi-chun's instantaneous movement could be easily detected. At that time, Yi-chun knew that void instantaneous change wasn't invincible and that he needed to become stronger. Unexpectedly, without even encountering a rotating pill realm powerhouse, Yi-chun's void instantaneous change was already at a disadvantage against these willow demons. These 3 willow demons have completely covered the fire elemental spring. Unless I can truly defeat them, there's no way to obtain the fire elemental spring, let alone the truly precious fire elemental spirit stones beneath it. My inner true chi isn't afraid of these 3 willow demons, but my external martial skills, whether it's the sword formation or the 9 transformation fighting body, are still somewhat weaker compared to the attacks of these 3 willow demons. Even void instantaneous change can't penetrate the range covered by these willow demons. How can I deal with them? Yi-chun looked towards the 3 huge willow trees in the valley, and towards the spring beside the trees that was gushing with the fire elemental spring, contemplating his strategy. As if sensing Yi-chun's gaze, the 3 willow demons that had injured Yi-chun earlier began to wildly dance their tens of thousands of branches. Each branch shone with brilliant fiery red, and the tens of thousands of fiery red branches flamboyantly danced as if they were taunting Yi-chun. Chapter 205. The little monkey begins to show his might. Whether it was provocation or intimidation, Yi-chun would not be scared off, nor would he flee the valley like those great demons. The fire elemental spirit stone had to be obtained. If previously the allure of this legacy treasure for Yi-chun wasn't too great, the emergence of such a powerful willow demon from the nourishment of the fire elemental spring revealed the preciousness of the fire elemental spirit stone that had bred the spiritual spring. Yi-chun, of course, would not pass up such a treasure. Fight those 3 willow demons a few more times, and see if they have any weaknesses. Even though he had been injured in the previous exchange, the fighting will in Yi-chun's eyes was not shaken in the slightest. Having opponents only meant he needed to improve his strength even more. Boom! Gang Yuan True Chi once again burst forth from within Yi-chun as he lunged at the 3 willow demons again. This time, as the Gang Yuan True Chi was released from around Yi-chun, an enormous golden monkey phantom hundreds of meters tall suddenly burst into brilliance around him. This was unmistakably the phantom of the golden monkey from the 3rd transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body. Facing the incredibly powerful willow demons, Yi-chun unleashed this technique as well. Gang Yuan True Chi roared out, and the golden monkey phantom burned furiously. Wrapped in the silvery and golden glows, Yi-chun once more charged into the range of tens of meters surrounding the 3 willow trees. At the same time, 96 swords of true chi burst forth from around him, forming the most powerful of the 4 major sword formations he controlled, the Star-Gathering Sword Formation. As Yi-chun arrived in front of the 3 willow trees, the 96 swords of true chi instantly converged to form a single dazzling point of starlight, thrusting towards the trunk of the willow demon. As Yi-chun launched his attack, thousands of willow branches, out of tens of thousands on the trees, suddenly shot out like thousands of fiery red arrows, aimed directly at Yi-chun. At the same time, hundreds of willow branches fused into a single massive branch, blocking the dazzling point of starlight that had emerged from the Star-Gathering Sword Formation. the star-gathering sword formation, which combined dozens of profound sword intents from 96 swords of true chi, collided violently with the combined attack of hundreds of willow branches. Amid the endless splatter of true chi light, the formidable star-gathering sword formation was actually blasted apart by the merged willow branches. Meanwhile, the thousands of willow branches attacking Yi Chun once again enshrouded him within their endless barrage. Even the roiling Gang Yuan True Chi and the burning golden monkey phantom around Yi Chun could not withstand the assault of these thousands of branches. Boom! Just as Yi Chun was about to be pierced through by the thousands of willow branches, a whoosh sounded from the center of his forehead, suddenly emitting a dazzling crimson sword light. Crimson fire flying sword. When neither the Gang Yuan True Chi nor the 9 transformation fighting body's golden monkey light could withstand the willow demon's assault, and when the sword formation's power fell short against the strength of the branches, Yi Chun finally unleashed his life-bound flying sword. The tiny streak of the crimson fire flying sword expanded to dozens of meters in size in an instant upon being released. Then, it swirled around Yi Chun's body and swept towards the thousands of willow branches flying at him. Whoosh! 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 The crimson fire flying sword, which Yi Chun had nurtured for nearly half a year, now wielded the might of a top-notch spiritual artifact. With one sweep, it slashed a large swath of willow branches away. However, many more branches continued to shoot towards Yi Chun, and even the crimson fire flying sword could not cleave through all the myriad branches in the sky. Retract. Instant change. Having exhausted various methods and still unable to contend with the 3 great willow demons, Yi Chun instantly retracted the crimson fire flying sword back into the Sword Palace acupoint, and used his instantaneous movement ability to transport himself dozens of miles away. As Yi Chun used instantaneous movement, although his body was not punctured, the countless branches that had not been cut by the crimson fire flying sword all lashed out at Yi Chun's body in the very instant he disappeared. When he reappeared after the instantaneous movement, even though Yi Chun's true chi was vast and his physique was incredibly strong, he was left reeling from the countless lashes and spat out a mouthful of blood. In this battle with the willow demon, Yi Chun was injured again, but this time the 3 great willow demons did not fare well either. 2 of them had dozens of branches chopped off by Yi Chun, while the middle one lost hundreds of branches. This exchange could be called a mutual injury. The crimson fire flying sword can cut the branches, but it can only slice off a small portion. Perhaps I could risk getting hurt to continuously cut down these branches. Yi Chun, having returned to the empty space outside the valley, began recovering his injured body while observing the 3 giant willow trees not far away. But just as Yi Chun could recover from his injuries, under his watchful eye, the 3 damaged willow demons started growing their severed branches back, flashing with fiery red light from their trunks. When Yi Chun had fully recovered, the 3 great willow demons had already completely regrown their severed branches. Clearly, as formidable beings, the willow demons could also heal their wounds. This left Yi Chun feeling quite frustrated. If things continued like this, neither he nor the great willow demons could overcome each other. Though the 3 willow demons were extremely formidable, perhaps even stronger together than Yi Chun, the willow demons could not move, and their attack range was limited. Yi Chun, while slightly less powerful than the 3 great willow demons, could rely on his instantaneous movement and life-bound flying sword, as well as his extremely strong Gang Yuan True Chi, to ensure that the willow demons also couldn't kill him. Fight again. The longer we battle, the more I will discover your weaknesses. Boom! After he had regulated his breath, Yi Chun launched a 3rd assault toward the 3 willow demons. Then, it became a hard battle between Yi Chun and the 3 willow demons. It wasn't until after dozens of conflicts that Yi Chun finally ceased his attacks on the willow demons. Immense strength, perfect coordination. Even their decisive moves seemed to contain endless profundity. Yi Chun, standing in midair, observed the 3 willow demons ahead with a look of admiration in his eyes. These were still 3 willow demons that had yet to become demon kings at the dance-spinning level, and yet they were already so formidable, it was truly admirable. Meanwhile, under Yi Chun's gaze, the bodies of the 3 willow demons also radiated endless light. This boundless light drew from the nearby fire elemental spring, absorbing its waters to replenish their losses. Clearly, in their battle with Yi Chun, they too had sensed Yi Chen's strength. It seems that with these three willow demons' protection, the fire elemental spring can't be obtained for now. I need to continue improving my techniques. This valley, nourished by the fire elemental spring, is filled with abundant true qi, making it suitable for cultivation. Since there is also a month's worth of exploration time on this island, I might as well practice here, advancing my internal skills and various external skills and martial skills. After dozens of battles with the willow demons and being unable to overcome them, Yi Chun was prompted to think about further enhancing his strength. Just then, a beam of light suddenly shot out from the ethereal spirit ring Yi Chun was wearing. As soon as the light appeared, it transformed into a palm-sized, miraculous little monkey. The little monkey's eyes were brilliant like black gems, with endless divine light flowing within, showing extraordinary liveliness. Indeed, it was the golden little monkey Yi Chun had brought from the ancestral land's secret realm. Previously, the little monkey had been staying within the Heaven Spirit Ring, a space treasure placed inside Yi Chen's ethereal spirit ring. Since entering the ancient tomb, the monkey had been soundly asleep in the Heaven Spirit Ring, but had unexpectedly run out now. Iya! As soon as it emerged, the little monkey sprang onto Yi Chen's shoulder, rubbing its small head affectionately against Yi Chen's neck. At the same time, its gem-like, dazzling black eyes also stared at the three willow demons and the fire elemental spring enveloped by countless willow branches. Iya! Iya! The little fellow still couldn't speak. It pointed at the fire elemental spring with its small finger and kept calling out to Yi Chun. Having spent some time together after leaving the ancestral land's secret realm, Yi Chun knew how clever the little monkey was. From its gestures, he could tell it was trying to say it wanted to retrieve the water from the spiritual spring. Could it be that while in the Heaven Spirit Ring, the little monkey had noticed the situation with the willow demons and the fire elemental spring, and now it was volunteering to contend with the willow demons? Little monkey, those three willow demons are formidable. Don't go. You might get hurt. Although the artifact spirit had once mentioned in the ancestral land's secret realm that this little monkey was no common creature and was a powerful offspring of something called a true spirit, Yi Chun wouldn't let it take any risks. After all, he had promised the artifact spirit to take good care of the little monkey on behalf of Heavenly Saint Dekong. Iya! Of course, the exceptionally clever little monkey understood Yi Chen's words. Seeing Yi Chen's disapproval, it gestured anxiously with its tiny fingers, and at last, its body suddenly flashed with golden light. In an instant, it shot upwards hundreds of meters high. Then, in the next moment, it was back in front of Yi Chun. Such speed! Witnessing the little monkey's action, Yi Chen's eyes widened in shock. He found that the monkey's speed surpassed even that of the willow demon's attacks, much faster than his own ability for instantaneous movement. Yi Chun knew from the artifact spirit that the little monkey had only been born a few months ago. Could it have reached such high speeds in just a few months after being born? Could the offspring of the divine, true spirit actually be so incredibly powerful? This was the first time the little monkey had shown its strength to Yi Chun, and it astonished him profoundly. Seeing Yi Chen's amazement, the little monkey was thrilled beyond measure and began calling out, Iya, excitedly. It seemed quite proud that its show of strength had frightened Yi Chun. The next moment, the little monkey pointed at the fire elemental spring and disappeared instantly. By the time Yi Chun had recovered from his surprise, the little monkey had already shot toward the willow demons. Little monkey! While he was astounded by the little monkey's speed, Yi Chun was more worried that it might be at a disadvantage against the willow demons. He was not unable to deal with the willow demons, for he possessed the Heavenly Saint bracelet. With it, he could easily slay the willow demons, but the Heavenly Saint bracelet was far more valuable than the fire elemental spring, so of course, Yi Chun wouldn't deplete it just to obtain the spring water. At that moment, Yi Chun took out the Heavenly Saint bracelet while moving instantly toward the willow demons. He wouldn't let the little monkey get hurt. If it truly came under attack from the willow demons, Yi Chun would be prepared to expend the Heavenly Saint beads on the bracelet to kill the willow demons. During Yi Chen's instant movement, he heard an iya from the little monkey as it shot back to his side, holding in its tiny palm more than a dozen drops of water from the fire elemental spring. When Yi Chen looked again at the 3 willow demons, he saw that they were furiously thrashing their branches, clearly enraged at the theft of the spring water. Yet even so, they couldn't harm the little monkey, which meant that their attacking speed was ineffective against the little monkey's extreme velocity. The little monkey had indeed breached the containment of the 3 willow demons and secured water from the fire elemental spring. Iya! Amidst Yi Chen's astonishment, the little monkey let out a soft call, and then Yi Chen saw the little creature, as if presenting a treasure, offer the dozen drops of fire elemental spring water it held in its palm to him. Clearly, the little monkey intended to give the spring water to Yi Chen. Chapter 206 Arduous Cultivation. Looking at the little monkey's cuteness and affection towards him, Yi Chen couldn't help but want to pinch its chubby cheeks. Little monkey, drink the spirit spring water you've worked so hard to fetch yourself. Don't give it to me? Yi Chen said with a smile as he shook his head at the little guy. Iya! Seeing Yi Chen refuse to accept the water, the little monkey became anxious. Its eyes shining like black jewels started to mist up. If Yi Chen turned it down again, the little guy might start crying right there. All right, let's do this. We'll split it in half, Yi Chen said, giving in to the little monkey.
Yeah.
At the sight of Yi Chen agreeing to take the water, the little monkey's tears turned to laughter, the mist in its eyes disappearing in an instant. With a light tap of its finger, more than half of the fire elemental spring water in its tiny palm flew towards Yi Chen. Clearly, the little guy still wanted Yi Chen to drink more of this marvelous water. Little monkey, thank you, Yi Chen said with a gentle smile, no longer refusing the little one's kindness. As he opened his mouth and inhaled, the 7 or 8 drops of fire elemental spring water flew into his mouth. Despite being only 7 or 8 drops, as soon as the water entered Yi Chen's mouth, it transformed into countless warm streams that flowed to every part of his body. With these threads of warm current moving throughout his body, every pore and cell in Yi Chen's body opened up comfortably, a feeling of toasty warmth instantly spreading throughout his body. This sensation was as if he had swallowed the immortal bead elixir. His whole body brimmed with abundant vigor and spirit. Even the weariness from his earlier battle with the willow demon dissipated under the nourishment of the spirit spring water. More wondrous still, as this extremely comfortable sensation reached the spirit sea within Yi Chen. His spirit sea magically grew countless droplets of Gang Yuan true qi spirit liquid, clearly transformed from the fire elemental spring water. Truly, the fire elemental spring was a miraculous thing, not only revitalizing his vigor and spirit with a single gulp but also directly boosting his true qi. Yi Chen couldn't help but want to taste it again. Seeing Yi Chen's thirst for more, the little monkey quickly drank the few remaining drops from its palm and with a swoosh disappeared again. When it reappeared, it was holding another dozen or so drops of the water, offering them to Yi Chen. The little monkey had actually gone to fetch more fire elemental spring water. Looking at the little monkey gazing at him with wide eyes, encouraging him to continue drinking the wondrous fire elemental spring water, and watching the willow demon's tens of thousands of branches wildly thrashing in fury after having its water stolen twice in quick succession by the little monkey, Yi Chen felt a warm current rising in his heart. Even without Zhang Yao by his side, with the little monkey accompanying him, this tiny monkey, only a few months old, was as intimate and affectionate with him as Zhang Yao was. This feeling of being cared for and cherished was really quite wonderful. Yi Chen looked at the little monkey, then at the 3 willow demons, his eyes beaming with fighting spirit. Little monkey, you don't have to keep fetching the water like this. Within this month, I will definitely break through the obstruction of these 3 willow demons and get the fire elemental spring. Then, we'll have our fill. How does that sound? Yeah. Seeing Yi Chen exuding high spirits, the little monkey excitedly nodded its little head. It loved watching Yi Chen look so confident and strong. The little guy had witnessed Yi Chen continuously strengthen himself outside the ancient god tower, and had seen him defeat the genius girl guarding the 18th floor. Of course, it believed Yi Chun would also defeat these 3 willow demons. Yi Chun smiled gently at the excited little monkey. Time to cultivate. Even though I can't improve my speed to the little monkey's extent in a short time, I still can enhance my sword formation martial skill and the power of my true chi. I will elevate my strength right here on the 4th sea island. After sharing the second portion of the fire elemental spring water with the little monkey, Yi Chun brought the little creature to a corner of the valley where the heaven and earth true chi was rich, and they began to sit and cultivate. Yi Chun began his arduous cultivation once again on the 4th sea island. His first session of cultivation in the valley lasted a full 7 days. After the 7 days, Yi Chun and the little monkey would leave the valley early each morning to find great demons in the nearby area for practical combat refinement post-meditation. As evening approached, they would return to the valley to resume their silent cultivation and post-battle reflections. Once Yi Chun entered into a state of combining silent cultivation with actual combat, the great demons in the western territories of the 4th sea island were completely doomed. Wherever Yi Chun and the little monkey went, countless great demons were slain, and with the passage of time, Yi Chun's speed and efficiency in killing great demons became faster and higher. Even on the 11th day upon entering the 4th sea island, a spiritual light suddenly emitted from the wooden token Yi Chun was holding, displaying the number 10 within that light. As Yi Chun's divine sense infiltrated the wooden token, he immediately came to a realization. This number represented that he had entered the top 10 in terms of the number of great beasts he had killed throughout the 4th sea island. When they first entered the 4th sea island, Yi Chun and the others had been informed through their wooden tokens that they only had 1 month of treasure hunting in the peripheral area of the 4th sea island. Once a month passed, those whose wooden tokens ranked in the top 10 in terms of slain beasts would earn the opportunity to enter the central giant island and further explore more precious rotating pill-level relics. The great beasts mentioned on the island referred to great demons and other fierce beasts of higher realms. Yi Chun had been diligently practicing all along, yet he only started to hunt great beasts 4 days ago. In just 4 days, he had successfully reached the top 10 rankings of the 32 people in hunting great beasts on the entire 4th sea island. Originally, Yi Chun's strength on the 4th sea island was already unparalleled. To deal with the willow demon, he had been training arduously, making remarkable progress daily. Hunting great beasts was merely his way of real combat practice after cultivation, and no one else could stop the rise of his ranking. On the 13th day of Yi Chun entering the 4th sea island, his ranking in hunting great beasts shot up to 5th place. And by the 15th day on the 4th sea island, the number on Yi Chun's wooden token suddenly flickered with a strange golden light. The rank of number 1 directly descended upon Yi Chun's token. Yi Chun's count of slain great beasts had now surpassed everyone else on the 4th sea island. Over these days, Yi Chun's ranking improved daily, and all the tomb explorers who had broken into the top 10 discovered that their rankings dropped a place every day. When the half-step rotating pill from Cloud Sky Sect, who had been hunting treasures and great beasts in the eastern region of the 4th sea island and had consistently held the number 1 rank, was squeezed to 2nd place, he couldn't help but fly into the sky and scan the vast expanse of the 4th sea island. Who has surpassed me? As images of various individuals flickered in this half-step rotating pill's mind, he seemed to come to a realization as if struck by inspiration, and suddenly thought of one person. Yi Chun, the astonishing youth who, right upon entering the 4th sea island, had crippled a half-step rotating pill. This half-step rotating pill from Cloud Sky Sect knew that of all the people on the island, the only one he couldn't see through was Yi Chun. Only Yi Chun could possibly have surpassed him in the rankings of hunting great beasts. Just as this half-step rotating pill had his revelation while gazing at the vast 4th sea island which he couldn't completely see, his guess was correct. The one who had overtaken him was indeed Yi Chun. At this moment, after 15 days of arduous cultivation, Yi Chun's true chi became even more profound than when he first arrived on the 4th sea island. Even the early stage of the spirit sea realm that he had struck into before entering the ancient tomb became immensely stable. While his true chi greatly improved, Yi Chun also made a significant gain. He finally mastered 2 major techniques during these 15 days of arduous cultivation. The first major technique was none other than the heavenly gang sword formation. which was of intermediate sword formation level, given to him by Sister Yu when he left the Taishan sect. Yi Chen finally mastered an intermediate-level sword formation, which immediately elevated his sword formation martial skills from 4 low-level formations to an intermediate level. The second major technique was that during the 15 days of battling with great demons, as well as digesting the insights from his battle with the Willow Demon, Yi Chen finally touched upon the martial skill realm of the 9 transformation fighting bodies' 4th transformation. Although it was only a touch and Yi Chen had not fully cultivated the 9 transformation fighting bodies' 4th transformation, not even to the basic level, this 4th transformation was equivalent to a heavenly martial skill. Merely touching upon this heavenly martial skill provided Yi Chen with endless benefits. After 15 days of arduous practice, Yi Chen finally felt that he regained the strength to fight the Willow Demon. Boom! On the 16th day after entering the 4th Sea Island, early in the morning, Yi Chen did not go out to hunt great demons anymore. He flew directly into the void above the valley and once again set his sights on the 3 willow demons. Yeah! At this time, the little monkey stood on Yi Chen's shoulder, calling out excitedly, because the little guy knew that after 15 days of arduous practice, Yi Chen was finally going to challenge those 3 willow demons again. Chapter 207. Battle with the Willow Demon again. Who? Yi Chen, standing in the void, looked towards the 3 willow demons, took a deep breath, and then exhaled slowly. Yi Chen's breath became incredibly stable in an instant. Yet, the fighting spirit in Yi Chen's eyes blazed furiously. 10 days ago, he battled the Willow Demon, and both sides suffered injuries, neither able to best the other. 10 days ago, only with the help of the Golden Monkey was he able to drink from the fire elemental spring. Now, 15 days later, Yi Chen was finally ready to challenge the Willow Demon again, to make another assault on the fire elemental spring. Even if he still couldn't overcome the 3 willow demons this time, Yi Chen would continue his arduous cultivation, continue to improve his strength, as he must defeat the Willow Demon and secure the fire elemental spring. Yi Chen had promised the Golden Monkey that he would freely enjoy the waters of the fire elemental spring together. He was certainly going to keep that promise. Golden Monkey, you stay on the side and watch the battle. I will fight these 3 great willow demons once more. Yi Chen, burning with fighting spirit, looked at the Golden Monkey on his shoulder and said softly, "Yeah!" The lively and intelligent Golden Monkey, upon seeing Yi Chen about to make a move, jumped directly into the void, standing there to watch the battle unfold. The little fellow even waved its tiny fists in the air, as if to cheer Yi Chen on. Boom! 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 After smiling at the Golden Monkey, Yi Chen turned towards the 3 great willow demons, his fighting spirit surging forth. Instantly, he released a towering Gang Yuan True Qi, measuring 170 to 80 meters high. As the astonishing Gang Yuan True Qi whirled around him, like a mighty silver dragon dancing in the air, a pair of True Qi wings suddenly appeared on Yi Chen's back. Wind Thunder Wings. Yi Chen had brought out the Wind Thunder Wings once again. Having achieved the ability to fly after entering the Spirit Sea Realm, Yi Chen rarely used the Wind Thunder Wings, but in the past 10 days of hunting giant beasts in real combat, he had been pondering how to increase his speed and movement just like the Golden Monkey. Through constant exploration, Yi Chen finally found the way to integrate the Wind Thunder Wings with his flight supernatural ability. The 2 methods of supernatural powers could combine, and in doing so, Yi Chen's speed indeed improved once more. This was the harvest of real combat, the fruit of comprehending martial techniques. Swish! Enormous Wind Thunder Wings, tens of meters long, appeared behind Yi Chen, who quickly spread them as his flying supernatural ability was unleashed, and the 2 silver-white wings even emitted a sound of tearing through the void, like a combination of wind and thunder. Boom! Amidst the sound of wind and thunder, a great light burst forth as Yi Chen, with his Wind Thunder Wings and flying supernatural ability, covered a distance of more than 10 miles in the blink of an eye, arriving before the 3 great willow demons. Spurt! 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 These 3 great willow demons, capable of slaughtering even hundreds of high-ranking great demons and exceedingly perceptive, sensed Yi Chen's improved strength as he launched an attack. They abruptly shot out over 8,000 willow branches towards Yi Chen. These 8,000-plus willow branches, hundreds of meters long and flying wildly through the air, glowed even redder than they had done 10 days before. Clearly, during this period, the strength of the 3 willow demons had also increased. In the blink of an eye, the 8,000-plus willow branches were slashing down upon Yi Chen, who was approaching at high speed. "Bring it on!" Boom! As the 8,000 willow branches shot towards him, the rolling Gang Yuan True Qi enveloped Yi Chen's entire body, shielding him, while at the same time, an incredibly magical golden monkey light abruptly surged into his palms. In an instant, Yi Chen's palms displayed a series of crimson-golden, extraordinary patterns. This was the sign of Yi Chen touching the 4th layer of the 9 transformation fighting body. The 9 transformation fighting body consists of 9 transformation divine art. The first transformation manifests a giant golden monkey phantom exterior to the body. The second fuses the golden monkey phantom inside the body, while the third involves the burning of the golden monkey phantom. These first 3 transformations are at the level of Spirit Sea Realm combat power. But entering the 4th transformation, advancing to a more powerful heaven-grade technique, reaches the level of combat power of the rotating pill stage. Upon reaching the 4th transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body and cultivating the 9 transformation golden body talisman pattern, when one fights, the entire body is covered with extraordinary golden patterns, and the strength grows to inconceivable levels. One could even smash a mighty mountain with a wave of the hand. One could even kill a half-step rotating pill with a flick of the wrist. Yi Chen couldn't yet achieve the 4th transformation's incredible covering of the whole body with extraordinary golden patterns. He had just touched upon this 4th layer of technique and could only manifest the 9 transformation golden body talisman pattern on his hands. But that was enough. As the 3 great willow demons unleashed their 8,000 branches shooting towards Yi Chen, his hands glowed with the 9 transformation golden body talisman pattern, reaching out to grasp the incoming branches. Both his hands grabbed onto 70 to 80 willow branches. Then, with a fierce tug and the brilliant light of the 9 transformation golden body talisman pattern on his palms, Yi Chen actually tore apart the more than 100 willow branches with his bare hands. These willow branches had once pierced through high-ranking great demons. These willow branches had once pierced through Yi Chen's body, creating blood holes. Now, under the 4th transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body, these ferocious willow branches turned out to be no match for Yi Chen's bare palms. Ahoo! The 3 willow demons, whose branches Yi Chen had torn off in handfuls, thrashed their countless willow branches wildly. The wildly dancing willow branches compressed the air until it exploded, emitting strange cries like that of a great demon. Clearly, the 3 willow demons were enraged. Swish! 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 Without the slightest hesitation, each of the 3 willow demons unleashed tens of thousands of willow branches. With over 30,000 willow branches in total, they shot towards Yi Chen like a shower of arrows. The willow demon's attack power against Yi Chen had unexpectedly reached tens of thousands of branches. This level of combat power could easily kill countless warriors at the half-step rotating pill stage, and even the very top warriors at this stage would not dare to easily touch such a terrifying killing force. Tens of thousands of willow branches surged wildly, as if a storm capable of annihilating everything had swept through the void, tearing the very space apart wherever they passed. Bring it on! Enveloped in the vortex of the willow branch storm, Yi Chen roared, and whoosh whoosh whoosh, countless swords of true qi appeared around him. This time, the swords of true qi numbered no less than 999. The number of 99. This was none other than the heavenly gang sword formation, a powerful sword formation painstakingly understood and practiced by Yi Chen, which reached the intermediate level of sword formations. The moment the 999 swords of true qi floated out, they suddenly formed the might of a sword formation, with surging sword intents beginning to circulate upon each sword of true qi. The next moment, the entire sword formation shot out a beam of starlight sword intents. In the past, when Yi Chen practiced the star-gathering sword formation, He was only able to condense a bit of starlight, but this time the heavenly gang sword formation unleashed an entire beam of starlight. With the sweep of the starlight, it collided with the tens of thousands of willow branches descending from the sky. Boom! 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 The entire void exploded violently under the collision of these two powers. The explosive blast waves even flipped the soil in the valley, creating gullies one after another. In the endless waves of explosions, the heavenly gang sword formation, powered by the immense Gang Yuan True Qi, actually matched the horrifying killing force of the tens of thousands of willow branches in a fight. Ahoo! The three willow demons, slicing through the air, caused the void to cry out wildly once more. One move failing to overpower Yi Chun, the myriad surging willow branches recoiled and gathered again, shooting towards Yi Chun with renewed lethal power. And Yi Chun, in the midst of a long true Qi howl, once more combined the heavenly gang sword formation, again engaging in battle with the willow demon. Boom! 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 As the frenzied battle continued and Yi Chen's wind thunder wings fluttered beneath the giant willow demons, the terrifying sounds of true Qi explosions swept across the entire area of the willow trees. Every place Yi Chun passed, explosions resounded. In the end, after dozens of exchanges between Yi Chun and the willow demon, the area of several hundred meters engulfed by the three willow demons was filled entirely with exploding true Qi. The entire void had fallen into chaos. This endless barrage of explosions not only tore the earth apart with countless fissures, but even caused the normally unchanging fire elemental spring to boil over, its waters tumbling wildly amidst the blasts. The little monkey standing in the void outside the valley, witnessing Yi Chun and the willow demon fighting so fiercely, even forcing the three willow demons to tear the void asunder, let out continuous howls. The little monkey's two black gem-like eyes were incredibly bright. The youth it followed was indeed remarkably powerful. To be able to fight three willow demons to such an extent after merely 10 days of arduous practice. As heaven-shaking explosions filled the air, and the earth was ripped asunder, even as the waters of the fire elemental spring boiled wildly, the three willow demons, having fought dozens of exchanges and still unable to suppress Yi Chun, suddenly revealed a new transformation. Clearly, with even the fire elemental spring boiling over, the three willow demons dared not hold back their strength any longer. They aimed to exterminate Yi Chun completely, just as they had the hundreds of great demons, to quell the furious turbulence of the fire elemental spring. Amidst the new transformation, divine and unmatched fiery red light burst from the trunks of the three massive willow demons, all hundreds of meters tall. This fiery red light coursed through the trunks and eventually spread throughout the bodies of the three willow demons, reaching branches, leaves, and tips alike. At last, the three trees had turned into fire willows. Boom! 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 Once the fiery red light was fully unleashed, flames ignited along all the branches of the fire willows. As the flames blazed fiercely, it seemed as if the three willow demons had turned into three flame-wreathed great demons. These roaring flames were no ordinary fire. Even a mere flicker that fell onto the earth pierced straight through it, leaving a terrifyingly vast and deep crater quite a number of meters wide and deep. In the end, as all the branches surged forth and all the flames poured down, Yi Chun was completely engulfed in the canopy of willow branches and the overwhelmingly terrifying flames. Chapter 208 Fire Elemental Spirit Stone. Just as Yi Chun was completely engulfed by the sky full of willow branches and flames, a burst of crimson light, even more mystical than the flames themselves, suddenly shot through. This ray of light was, in fact, the Crimson Fire Flying Sword. When the three willow demons unleashed their final killing move, Yi Chun also brought out all the tricks up his sleeve. Gang Yuan True Qi, Heavenly Gang Sword Formation, 9 Transformation Fighting Body, and the Life-Bound Flying Sword. With the surging Gang Yuan True Qi and the immense power of the 9 Transformation Fighting Body, Yi Chen's whole being radiated an endless divine light. And around his body, that beam of starlight formed by the heavenly gang sword formation, merged instantly with the crimson fire flying sword that was shooting out. Previously, The heavenly gang sword formation that Yi-chan had used was formed by swords condensed from true qi, but the crimson fire flying sword was a supreme holy artifact capable of carrying true qi. When the infinite sword intent of the heavenly gang sword formation was executed through the crimson fire flying sword, its power suddenly skyrocketed to an unbelievable level. Boom! 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 The crimson fire flying sword, carrying a stream of starlight, extinguished the endless burning flames wherever it passed. After circling a few dozen feet around Yi-chan, not even a single flame of the willow demon remained within a several feet radius of him. The burning flames unleashed by the willow demons towards Yi-chan were completely extinguished by him. Surrounded by surging Gang Yuan true qi and the golden light of the 9 transformation fighting body, Yi-chan, flying through the void, radiated endless divine light. The crimson fire flying sword, whirling around him with the vast power of the heavenly gang sword formation and annihilating everything in its path, left a vacuum around Yi-chan, a vacuum that absolutely no force could break through. Boom! Having unleashed all his techniques, Yi-chan finally managed to break through the blockade of the 3 willow demons, crashing down next to the fire elemental spring. Seeing Yi-chan landing beside the spring, the 3 willow demons, now completely engulfed in flames, went utterly insane. All of their fiery branches attacked Yi-chan standing next to the spring. The 3 willow demons, with tens of thousands of branches spanning hundreds of meters, turned the entire void into a sea of fire. This sea of fire was enough to pierce through everything, but just like before, when all of it was directed at Yi-chan, it was still completely annihilated by the crimson fire flying sword, circling outside his body. Even with all their power, the 3 willow demons were unable to harm Yi-chan. Even more so, countless branches of the willow demons were continually chopped down in their clashes with the flying sword. The area of vacuum covered by the flying sword was becoming larger and larger. This clearly meant that Yi-chan was utterly suppressing the 3 willow demons from the front. After 10-odd days of arduous cultivation, coupled with real combat refinement, Yi-chan's numerous techniques working together, and mastering the powerful mid-tier sword formation Heavenly Gang Sword Formation, as well as touching upon the 4th transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body, at last, Yi-chan had gained the strength to defeat the 3 willow demons, finally rendering the 3 willow demons powerless against him. The 3 willow demons frenziedly attacked Yi-chan, while the crimson fire flying sword outside his body crazily annihilated all their attacks, simultaneously striking back at the willow demons. Yi-chan, surrounded by the crimson fire flying sword, watched the raging battle from the outside with an utterly calm expression, turning his gaze towards the fire elemental spring. After battling the 3 willow demons to this extent, Yi-chan knew that the willow demons could no longer stop him from obtaining the treasure of the fire elemental spring. The spring and its waters in front of him were now at his disposal. No longer would he need to send the little monkey to fetch spring water from the spiritual spring. Thanks to his own efforts, Yi-chan was finally able to personally access this mystical spiritual spring. Little monkey, come on over. Let's taste the flavor of this spiritual spring water once more. Yi-chan sent a telepathic message to the little monkey in the sky tens of miles away. With a sound, the little monkey instantly crossed the distance and popped up in front of Yi-chan. The willow demons were enraged beyond measure by Yi-chan breaking through their defense, and when they saw the little monkey that had already taken spring water several times also arrive next to the spiritual spring, the 3 willow demons went completely mad. But their madness was futile. Now Yi-chan had become an opponent the 3 willow demons could no longer contend with, and the little monkey had long since exceeded their attack speed. It was even less likely for them to hit the little monkey. Amidst the endless tearing of the earth and the endless annihilation of flames in the battle between 3 completely frenzied willow demons and the crimson fire flying sword, Yi-chan and the little monkey opened their mouths at the same time. Whoosh! Like whales and tigers devouring their prey, the water from the fire elemental spring pool transformed into 2 streams, flying directly into the mouths of Yi-chan and the little monkey. Gulp, gulp. Yi-chan and the little monkey started guzzling the water from the fire elemental spring right next to the pool. This time, it wasn't just a few drops. They were heartily indulging in a massive drink. Boom! 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 As countless streams of water turned into a warm current flowing through his body and into his spirit sea, Yichan felt as if he was floating on air, a sensation so heavenly. It was as if he had swallowed an immortal fruit, incredibly wonderful. Inside his vast spirit sea, the true qi surged crazily. As the amount of true qi spiritual fluid increased, the water level of Yichen's spirit sea kept rising. Droplets of silver gang yuan true qi spiritual fluid made the entire spirit sea gleam with an unbelievable bright silver radiance. The little monkey, next to him, didn't lag behind in speed as it wolfed down the water from the fire elemental spring. The tiny creature, only the size of a palm, had already swallowed up more than a dozen cubic feet of the spiritual spring in just a moment, all of it entering its small belly. Yet, despite consuming so much spiritual spring water, the little monkey's size didn't change at all. One could only see its eyes, dazzling like black gems, becoming hazy as if it was drunk. What was even more peculiar was that the little monkey's fur, which turned gray previously with the aid of the light from the heaven spirit ring to disguise itself, had once again turned a glittering gold after consuming the massive amount of fire elemental spring water. Now, its gray fur had returned to a dazzling gold, its entire body shimmering, radiant and even more resplendent with golden light than before. Boom! When Yichan and the little monkey had swallowed half of the water from the spring pool, which was 14 or 15 meters in size, an unexpected change occurred. Without having been hit by any attacks, the three willow demons, which were still battling against Yichen's crimson fire flying sword, spontaneously burst apart when the water level in the pool dropped to half. In the end, the three huge, hundreds of meters tall willow demons, with their tens of thousands of willow branches drifting, exploded into countless clusters of red light and completely dissipated in the sky. Such a scenario was clearly the sign of the defense of the fire elemental spring being broken. According to the legacy black pearl that Yichan had previously obtained, he had now truly revealed the treasure of the fire elemental spring to the world. The treasure has appeared. The treasure of this fire elemental spring is the fire elemental spirit stone beneath the water. Could it be that the spirit stone is about to emerge? Witnessing the aberration and the explosive disappearance of the three willow demons, Yichan and the little monkey looked down once again toward the fire elemental spring pool. At that moment, the 8 large spring eyes that had been gushing water continuously suddenly stopped spouting and the whole pool became momentarily still. The next instant, the silence was shattered. Yichan saw that, without his and the little monkey's continued absorption of the spring water, the water in the pool quickly began to recede. Indeed, all the remaining water was backflowing towards the spring eyes. When the entire pool, 14 to 15 meters in size, had all of its water drained, revealing the 3-meter-high inner walls and the empty basin, a miraculous red glow appeared inside the pool. As soon as this red glow appeared, it connected to one spring eye, then to the next, and when all 8 spring eyes were linked by the red glow, a fist-sized flame-red stone suddenly burst forth above them. This flame-red stone was whirling in the void. Yichan saw that its surface was covered in countless facets, each transmitting an extraordinary streak of flame-red light. Yichan could even sense the astonishing energy contained within this small, fist-sized stone, an energy that was probably more vast and powerful than all the true qi spiritual fluid in his spirit sea combined. Fire elemental spirit stone. Staring at this extraordinary flame-red stone, the words surfaced instantly in Yichen's mind. Clearly, the stone that had shot out from below the spring pool was the ultimate treasure of this legacy site, the Fire Elemental Spirit Stone. Chapter 209 Demon Tower Awakens. Having come to this mountain valley for 16 days, Yichan had finally overcome the obstruction of the 3 willow demons and at long last, he saw the hidden treasure beneath the Fire Elemental Spring. Yichen's gaze was completely fixed upon the Fire Elemental Spirit Stone, carefully examining this unparalleled mystical stone that could nourish the 3 great willow demons. At this moment, following the explosive shattering and disintegration of the 3 willow demons, the whole valley instantly became desolate, leaving only Yi-chan and the little monkey, along with the spinning fire elemental spirit stone. Yi-chan felt that, as the fire elemental spirit stone spun ceaselessly in the void, the dense heaven and earth true chi within the entire valley gradually began to converge towards the fire elemental spirit stone. However, after a short while, the heaven and earth true chi in the valley became the same as that outside the valley, and the spinning fire elemental spirit stone in the void finally came to a stop. Clearly, the reason why the heaven and earth true chi in the valley had been so concentrated earlier was due to the spirit stone emitting true chi. Now, the fire elemental spirit stone that had appeared directly reabsorbed all the dissipated true chi, much like it reabsorbed the fire elemental spring water before. Seeing the fire elemental spirit stone stop spinning and floating motionlessly in the void, waiting to be claimed, Yi-chan didn't hesitate any longer. He reached out into the void with a large hand, and the fire elemental spirit stone shot into his palm. So heavy! Grasping the fist-sized, fire-red spirit stone in his hand, Yi-chen's first impression was that the stone was extremely heavy. Yi-chen's current strength was so formidable that, not to mention a fist-sized rock, even the weight of a huge mountain could be borne by him. But the fire elemental spirit stone in his hand was as heavy as if it were heavier than a massive mountain, as if it contained the power of tens of thousands of Jun within it. If not for Yi-chen's body being fortified with the exceedingly robust Gang Yuan True Chi, together with the powerful physical strength he cultivated from the 9 transformation fighting body, he likely wouldn't have been able to lift this fire elemental spirit stone at all. The weight of this fire elemental spirit stone could likely easily crush a Spirit Sea midstage expert to death. The treasure left behind by the heavenly saint is truly extraordinary. Feeling the weight of the fire elemental spirit stone, Yi-chan silently admired it in his heart. Following that, he began to examine the interior of the fire elemental spirit stone with his divine sense. The moment his divine sense touched the fire elemental spirit stone, he felt as though he had entered a space filled with thick fire element true chi, a space that was even bigger than Yi-chen's Spirit Sea, where the sky and land were both filled with dense, fire-red heaven and earth true chi. Heaven and earth true chi can be divided into 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Normally, heaven and earth true chi is a mix of the 5 elements exhibiting a blue color, and it's only when the true chi of one attribute is condensed to the extreme that it can manifest in a single color. The interior of this fire elemental spirit stone was completely fire-red, signifying that it was all fire element true chi of the fire element condensed to the extreme. As soon as Yi-chen's divine sense touched the interior space of the fire elemental spirit stone, rolling surges of thick fire element true chi burst forth, pouring into his body and bringing him immense benefits. Holding the fire elemental spirit stone, he was absorbing true chi even faster than when he had drawn in true chi from the fire elemental spring water previously. Fantastic! This really is fantastic. The heaven and earth true chi within this fire elemental spirit stone is vast. Even if possessing the stone allows one to absorb its true chi quickly, it would take several years to completely assimilate the immense true chi within it. If I were to bring all of this stone's heaven and earth true chi into my body, this true chi would likely be enough to let me advance to the Spirit Sea mid-stage, or even the later stages. Yi-chan could hardly wait to start absorbing the true chi from the fire elemental spirit stone. Little monkey, let's absorb the true chi here together. With such rich true chi, both of us can make huge strides. Previously, the little monkey's absorption of the fire elemental spring water had caused it to undergo mystical changes, turning its fur golden and radiant, replete with flowing light and shimmering sparkles. Yi-chan knew that the spring water must have been greatly beneficial to the little monkey as well. Now that he had obtained the fire elemental spirit stone, Yi-chan wouldn't keep it all to himself. This stone, even more peculiar than the fire elemental spring water, was something he intended to share with the little monkey. Yeah! At this moment, the little monkey's eyes, as bright as black jewels, were already muddled as if intoxicated. It quickly jumped onto Yi-chen's shoulder with a swift sound and affectionately rubbed its tiny head against Yi-chen's neck. Then, the little fellow's tiny fingers started gesticulating non-stop, pointing at the spring pool one moment, and then pointing towards the ethereal spirit ring that Yi-chan wore the next. Watching the little monkey's gestures, Yi-chan gradually understood. Judging by its actions, the monkey must have gained some peculiar insights from the fire elemental spring water it had absorbed earlier and wanted to refine it within the heaven spirit ring, stored inside the ethereal spirit ring. The heaven spirit ring was a space treasure given to Yi-chan by the spirit of the sacred artifact when he left the ancestral land secret realm, specially designated for the little monkey to live in. The realm within that ring was not a bit smaller than the ancestral land secret realm, and it contained wonders that could constantly aid the growth of the little monkey, left by the true spirit of the monkey's ancestor, a divine being. After acquiring the heaven spirit ring, Yi-chan placed this treasure within his storage ring. Linked to the storage ring, the heaven spirit ring allowed the little monkey to easily hide within its inner realm. Seeing that the little fellow wanted to enter the heaven spirit ring, Yi-chan would not obstruct it. "Alright, go ahead. With the fire elemental spirit stone brimming with true chi, we have enough for several years. When you come out, we'll continue to absorb it. When we see Jiang Yao, we'll let her absorb some of this true chi too," Yi-chan said smilingly to the little monkey. Hearing Yi-chan's words, the little monkey cried out "Ya," and affectionately rubbed its head against Yi-chan's neck once more. And then it transformed into a streak of light and instantly entered the ethereal spirit ring Yi-chan wore, disappearing into the heaven spirit ring within. Watching the little monkey enter the heaven spirit ring and fall asleep, Yi-chan also smiled. Each time the little fellow woke up from a deep sleep, it seemed to have grown, but it was uncertain how long it would sleep this time. After watching the little monkey for a while, Yi-chan's divine consciousness withdrew from the heaven spirit ring. The little monkey is cultivating. It's time for me to cultivate as well. Yi-chan sat cross-legged in the valley, placing the fire elemental spirit stone between his legs, holding it with both hands as he began to absorb the true chi within. Boom! 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 As the immense and unparalleled true chi from the fire elemental spirit stone entered Yi-chan's spirit sea, the Gang Yuan true chi spiritual liquid inside his spirit sea once again soared rapidly. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, Yi-chan was completely immersed in the state of absorbing the spirit stone's true chi. While Yi-chan was engrossed in the marvelous state of continuous true chi enhancement, other adventurers on the Fourth Sea Island were also continuously finding treasures that belonged to them. Due to Yi-chan's earlier warning, there was no mutual slaughter among the adventurers on the Fourth Sea Island, and they did not have the guidance of the treasure-seeking black beads to find hidden treasures. The treasures they found were all placed openly on various parts of the Fourth Sea Island. Some found a half-step rotating pill, breaking through the defense of a group of demon wolves to obtain a spiritual pearl treasure, while another found a mysterious blue bottle in a large lake, containing a divine and extraordinary spiritual liquid that even drove them mad with desire. The 5 late-stage Spirit Sea female disciples from the Moon Concealing sect went on an adventure together and discovered a fruit forest filled with strange fruits. Even the 5 mid-stage Spirit Sea disciples whom Yi-chan had saved earlier had made their own gains. All was calm and tranquil on the Fourth Sea Island, with all adventurers either searching for treasures or hunting giant beasts, seizing the 1-month exploration period to gain as many benefits as possible. But on other islands, it was not as peaceful and quiet as on the Fourth Sea Island. With the appearance of treasure-seeking black beads, fighting was inevitable, and as the locations pointed out by the black beads continuously yielded treasures, the precious treasures made countless people envious. Suddenly, all the islands were filled with contention, slaughter, and counter-slaughter. Many of the weaker adventurers died amid these conflicts and during their explorations, while the ones still alive were those incredibly strong half-step rotating pills and talented disciples, as well as adventurers who teamed up to jointly defend against enemies. Regardless, frictions, battles, and deaths continued to arise. What no one was aware of was that as people among the 349 who had entered the ancient tomb kept dying, their deaths turned into black mist that vanished over the islands, and deep within the ancient tomb, on the huge bronze coffin tightly secured by 8 enormous iron chains, the faintly glowing green-faced tiger head demon pattern was becoming increasingly bright. This day marked the 23rd day since everyone had entered the ancient tomb, and by this day of the 349 individuals, a full 130 had turned into black mist and disappeared from the 10 sea islands. On this day, right after 130 people turned into black mist and vanished from the islands, the green-faced tiger-head demon among the 8 great demon towers on the bronze giant coffin suddenly lit up completely. Boom! A thunderous explosion echoed as a terrifying black light burst forth from the surface of the bronze coffin. Within this terrifying black light, the fully illuminated green-faced tiger-head demon tower abruptly disappeared, and in the next moment, a 300-meter-tall, tiger-headed, humanoid demon with billowing black chi suddenly appeared in the void. Upon its appearance, the demon looked down at the huge bronze coffin. Master! After 3,863 years, I, Tiger Demon Tongue, have finally awakened. You had slain Heavenly Saint Linghua and were gravely injured yourself, your life force dissipating, which led you to set up this astonishing scheme. Now, this astonishing scheme has gradually begun to unfold. Master, I, Tiger Demon Tongue, shall lead the charge for you. After the demon whispered these words, it raised its head to look beyond the massive swamp, towards the central giant island and the 10 outer sea islands. Cultivators from the 13 countries of the southern heavens. You will join the various demons cultivated by the Master back then. Whether in death or in life, prepare to offer yourselves to the Master. The peripheral sea islands are still far from enough. I hope some of you can make it to the central sea island. That will be more interesting. Boom! 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 As the demon spoke, one of the 8 enormous iron chains securing the bronze coffin, covered with countless ancient rune talismans, suddenly erupted in endless radiance. Chapter 210. The Beginnings of Disaster. Hearing the words of this demon creature, it seemed that this ancient tomb was not at all the tomb of the heavenly Saint Linghua from the 13 countries of the southern region, nor was it left for the younger generations of those countries to inherit anything. Having suffered grave injuries while slaying heavenly Saint Linghua, someone had set up a terrifying plot. It appeared that this ancient tomb might belong to the heavenly saint of the demon sects who fought against heavenly Saint Linghua and created the massive demon burial abyss, the tomb of heavenly Saint Moya, from the defying demon sect, one of the 10 great demon sects of the western wilderness. The powerful ones from the heavenly wind kingdom all thought this ancient tomb was the tomb of heavenly Saint Linghua. Who could have imagined that this was actually a demon sect's ancient tomb, a trap set by a heavenly saint of the demon sects? What they could not have imagined was that even heavenly Saint Linghua had died at the hands of heavenly Saint Moya. They were now sending their sect disciples straight into the fiery abyss, into a situation fraught with extreme danger. Either death sacrifices, or live sacrifices, to offer themselves to the master of this demon creature? If the 6 great powers of the heavenly wind kingdom heard this demon creature's words, they would likely be shocked to the core. A trap set by a heavenly saint? Such matters involving heavenly saints might change the entire standoff between the 13 countries of the southern region and the 10 great demon sects, possibly reigniting the great war between the southern region and the western wilderness. Regrettably, at this moment, the 6 great powers were still waiting outside the ancient tomb, waiting for the return of the disciples they had sent into the tomb. They were completely unaware that these disciples had already fallen into this great danger. Just when numerous ancient rune talismans on the massive bronze coffin deep within the tomb were all lit up, countless black bubbles in the vast swamp suddenly began to furiously churn, and a mighty black wind roared and swept out. As the surging black wind roared deep within the tomb, far from this massive bronze coffin, an earth-shattering change suddenly occurred on the 10 islands at the outer reaches of the tomb. Boom! 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 On each of the 10 islands, a terrifying gust of wind swept by, and as the wind passed, the tomb explorers were horrified to discover that on these islands, towering pillars of black chi, dozens to hundreds of zhang hai, burst forth. On each island, there were 30 to 40 of these inexplicable and terrifying black pillars. What is that? The tomb explorers on the islands could not help but fly into the sky and look towards these black pillars. Someone couldn't resist probing the black pillar with their controlled puppet, and when it entered the black light of the pillar, the puppet, with the combat power of a mid-level spirit C, was instantly reduced to ash upon touching the black light. This completely astonished everyone watching the scene. The eerie black pillars that suddenly appeared had enormous lethality, making many tomb explorers' complexions change, uncertain of what would happen due to the appearance of these black pillars. As the tomb explorers stared at these terrifying black pillars, countless divine lights soared into the sky, and numerous legacy treasures and secret realms revealed themselves. The divine lights of the legacy treasure secret realms were far more intense than the divine lights of the legacy treasures many had discovered earlier. The eerie black pillars appeared, and simultaneously, legacy treasure sites also emerged everywhere. The tomb explorers had no time to react when they found that countless giant beasts on the islands were madly rushing towards the skyscraping black pillars. What was strange was that the black pillars, which had destroyed a mid-level Spirit Sea puppet earlier, seemed to have no effect on these giant beasts. Not only did they have no effect, but to the tomb explorers' surprise, as the giant beasts entered the black light of the pillars, the black light seemed to mysteriously nourish the giant beasts. The low-level great demons that initially flew in evolved into mid-level great demons within moments, and the mid-level great demons became high-level great demons. As for the most powerful high-level great demons on the islands, they underwent a shocking transformation and became half-step demon kings with immensely powerful auras. In an instant, countless giant beasts on the islands underwent evolution under the nourishment of the towering black pillars, their strength skyrocketing. Although there had not yet appeared any demon king-level behemoths equivalent to the rotating pill realm, the strength of the island's giant beasts had risen to a terrifying level. Furthermore, countless giant beasts were still surging towards the black pillars, with more behind them still undergoing evolution. Watching this scene, the explorers on the various islands all changed their expressions. Many of them had previously been able to slay giant beasts, but with the beast's strength raised by one rank, many among them likely could no longer withstand the onslaught of the numerous beasts. Even more terrifying was that, after being illuminated by the black pillar's light, the eyes of these beasts emitted a bizarre black glow, becoming incredibly ferocious. Countless giant beasts, after emerging from the black light of the pillars with eyes casting a fierce glow, set their sights on both the legacy treasure sites that appeared everywhere on the islands and the tomb explorers watching these anomalies in the sky. Roar! Roar! Countless giant beasts rushed towards the legacy treasure sites, seemingly intent on seizing the treasures inside, and a large group of beasts roared as they charged towards the tomb explorers in the sky. The island's giant beasts were actually initiating an attack on the tomb explorers. They've been demonized. These creatures have been demonized. What in the world is this tomb? Why do I feel like there's an invisible hand controlling all this? Why do I feel that this ancient tomb is full of weirdness, as if it wants us to gain something, but also wants to kill many of us? In the skies of the first sea island, Lu Yen of the 5th-ranked Great Sect, Flame Sect, watching the horrifying black pillars surging into the sky, observing the sudden appearance of numerous secret treasure locations, and facing the savage beasts roaring and charging towards him, was also filled with astonishment. Regardless, I must survive this ancient tomb and obtain the amazing secret treasures within. There are only 7 days left until the day we enter the central giant island. The last gains from these outer islands must also be seized. Boom! Lu Yen, unable to predict how the ancient tomb would change, decided not to think too much. As dozens of behemoths roared towards him, he gave a cold laugh. In an instant, he spewed a stream of purple flames from his mouth. The moment the purple flames touched the bodies of the behemoths, even the high-ranking great demons and those close to Demon King level were instantly burned to ashes. After that, without staying any longer in the void, Lu Yen swept his sleeve and turned into an escaping light, flying towards the treasure secret land where endless behemoths were also swarming. On the 3rd sea island, Fairy Nishong from the 5th-ranked Moon-concealing sect was staring at the terrifying black pillars gushing out non-stop, and at the behemoths undergoing transformations within them. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Not good. This is a technique of the demon sex. Fairy Nishong, Among the cultivators from the Heavenly Wind Kingdom who entered the ancient tomb to explore, was the oldest practitioner and the most knowledgeable. She recognized the significance behind these terrifying black pillars at first glance. Demon sect techniques? Could it be, this isn't the ancient tomb of Heavenly Saint Linghua at all? Could this be the ancient tomb of one of the heavenly saints from the 10 major demon sects? He masqueraded as Heavenly Saint Linghua, luring us into this tomb. But what exactly is his purpose? The normally calm face of Fairy Nishang could no longer stay composed. No way, even if it is the ancient tomb of a demon sect heavenly saint, I must break out. Little Ding Dang is still waiting for me outside. I can't afford to have an accident in this ancient tomb. We've been scattered across 10 islands. Many strong cultivators are not together. We must gather at the central island so we can face this peculiar tomb together. Thinking this, Fairy Nishang's expression grew dark, and she vanished from the spot in an instant. The next moment, she appeared in front of a large group of behemoths. With a wave of her hand, 8 high-ranking great demon behemoths were cut in two and fell to the ground. Only after they died did the black ominous light in the eyes of these beasts finally fade away. Yow! Something's not right. We must be more cautious. There's weirdness everywhere on this island. In the middle of the 8th sea island, Zhang Yao was with 3 half-step rotating pill female disciples from the moon-concealing sect. At this moment, the 4 women, witnessing countless terrifying black pillars erupting and numerous behemoths starting to rampage wildly across the island, were all taken aback. Sister Ning, this ancient tomb is probably not that of Heavenly Saint Linghua. He would never let the younger generation of Heavenly Wind Kingdom face such great threats and undergo such terrifying changes. We must persevere, no matter what dangers we face. We must hold on until we can gather with the others on the central island. Zhang Yao conveyed to the leading female disciple of the moon-concealing sect. Yes, let's stick it out. Our sect's Fairy Nishang has also entered the tomb. With her here, it's reassuring. The 3 disciples from the moon-concealing sect all nodded in agreement. And Zhang Yao, with a worried look in her beautiful eyes, glanced out toward the sea. Yi-chan, in 7 days, we'll be able to gather on the central giant island and face this bizarre tomb together. You must stay safe. Boom! 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 When 7 or 8 behemoths came towards the 4 women, Zhang Yao and the 3 moon-concealing sect female disciples immediately made their move, bursting forth in front of these behemoths. Demon Chi. This is the very demon Chi of our 10 major demon sects. This ancient tomb, it seems, truly belongs to my demon sects. On the 7th sea island, wearing the attire of a 6th-ranked sect member from Cloud Soaring sect, the disciple named Shui Yu, who had turned his protective true chi into a strange black light and killed his fellow sect members, looked at the great black pillars rising into the sky from the valley before him with a wildly jubilant expression in his eyes. In the same valley, there were 2 other sect disciples. At the sight of the enormous black pillar, both of them turned pale. When the 2 disciples turned and saw the ecstatic expression in the eyes of Shuiyu, they were puzzled. Brother Shuiyu, don't you realize something is wrong? How can you be so pleased? This cloud-soaring sect disciple named Shuiyu then gave the 2 a sinister smile. This disaster for you is a grand opportunity for me. Boom! Just as the 2 beside him were still unclear about Shuiyu's intentions, he suddenly erupted with rolling black light from his body. This black light was identical to the light of the terrifying black pillar that sprouted out. In the blink of an eye, Shuiyu killed both fellow sect disciples, who had reached the later stages of the Spirit Sea Realm. Next, Shuiyu took the legacy treasure black beads from their bodies, and without any further delay, he dashed into the light of the terrifying black pillar. The light of the terrifying black pillar that no other tomb explorer could touch. Shuiyu was able to enter directly. Even more bizarre was that after he entered, just like those behemoths, his strength began to surge as well. Chapter 211, Blood Flows for 3,000 Miles. On the 10th sea island, 3 half-step rotating pill cultivators from the Cloud Sky sect gathered together, accompanied by a late-stage Spirit Sea disciple. The four of them looked at the terrifying black columns that surged up from the island, and the rampaging giant beasts, with a trace of solemnity in their eyes. At this moment, the three half-step rotating pill cultivators turned to the late-stage spirit sea disciple and said, "Junior brother Yunluo, what should we do? Judging by this situation, I'm afraid we've gotten into some big troubles on this tomb raiding adventure." The late-stage spirit sea disciple named Yunluo also had a grave expression. "The master has instructed us not to use that secret treasure unless it's absolutely necessary. Given the current situation, we can still manage. Let's try to capture as many legacy treasures as we can in the outer regions. We'll deal with the rest once we get to the central giant island." When Yunluo mentioned that secret treasure, the concerned expressions of the three half-step rotating pill cultivators eased slightly. Clearly, this late-stage spirit sea disciple Yunluo, whom even the three half-step rotating pill cultivators consulted, likely possessed an earth-shattering secret treasure as a last resort. After discussing for a while, the four turned into four fleeing lights and hurried towards a secret ground of treasures on the 10th Sea Island. The awakening of Demon Tower upon the ancient bronze coffin in the deepest part of the tomb had led to anomalies, which in turn caused astonishing changes on the 10 peripheral islands. Amidst the surges of terrifying black columns, countless giant beasts grew increasingly powerful, scrambling for the heavenly saint relics of this world, and also engaging in fierce battles with the tomb explorers who entered the ancient tomb. In the end, even the giant beasts fought amongst themselves. The tomb explorers who entered, including Lu Yen, Fairy Nishong, Jiang Yao, and other formidable disciples, were still able to withstand the changes on these islands, but the others were completely struck by disaster amid these terrifying transformations. On the second sea island, three mid-stage spirit sea disciples had just obtained a legacy treasure and had no time for joy before they witnessed the astonishing changes on the island. As they were still stunned, four demonized high-ranking great demons pounced in front of them. Thud! 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 The four demonized high-ranking great demons, with just 3 swipes of their claws, pierced through these disciples, seizing the legacy treasure in their hands and roaring off. In the 5th Sea Island, a half-step rotating pill looked out from atop a giant peak at the vast island when suddenly, a majestic demon eagle over 300 meters in length, with sharp talons outstretched, swooped down towards the half-step rotating pill. As the half-step rotating pill released his true chi, he engaged in a fierce fight with the demon eagle. He was barely holding his own against the demon eagle when 3 more demon eagles arrived, each as powerful as the first. They were all at the half-step demon king level. One demon eagle was already too much for the half-step rotating pill, and with the arrival of 3 more, their joint attack overwhelmed him. He lasted only 3 moves before 2 of the eagles grabbed him and tore him in half. Then, the other 2 eagles pounced as well, and in an instant, they had completely devoured the half-step rotating pill's body. A powerful half-step rotating pill met his end on the peak, and eventually not even a corpse was left behind, just glaring streaks of blood on the giant boulders of the mountain. After killing the half-step rotating pill, the 4 demon eagles screeched piercingly, raising their several hundred-meter-long wings, and flew towards their next target. And then there was the 6th Sea Island, the 7th Sea Island, the 9th Sea Island. All 10 sea islands had turned into a battlefield of chaos under the attack of the countless giant beasts. Terrifying black pillars rose, black light transformed the giant beasts, and great disorders broke out across the 10 islands. Powerful giant beasts left a trail of tomb explorers dead on the islands, and even the weaker great demons perished as well, while the stronger tomb explorers killed swathes of the beast hordes. In the end, all the islands had become a sea of blood. These 10 sea islands, each spanning 3,000 miles, but with the outbreak of great chaos and the horrific battles, they all ended up soaked in blood for 3,000 miles. And in those areas scattered with earthly ancient tomb legacy treasures, the battles were even more brutal. Piles of giant beast corpses were akin to mountains, strewn with the bodies of tomb explorers. It was practically a river of blood. Chaos. The entire periphery of the ancient tomb had become an area of utter chaos. Meanwhile, on the 4th Sea Island, Yichun, who had been diligently cultivating and absorbing the true chi of the fire elemental spirit stone, was also awakened from his cultivation by the numerous terrifying black columns that erupted from the island and the roaring of countless great demons. The Yi Chun who awakened looked completely different from before he began his cultivation. At this moment, after 7 days of crazed absorption of the fire element true chi within the fire elemental spirit stone, the roiling Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid in his body spirit sea had filled his entire spirit sea, to the point where it felt like it couldn't contain this endless true chi spiritual fluid any longer. Yi Chun had reached the very pinnacle of the early stage spirit sea realm. The next moment it seemed he could take on the challenge of the mightier mid-stage spirit sea realm, allowing his spirit sea to transform and expand again, pushing him into the mid-stage spirit sea. However, what no one knew was that Yi Chun had been at this peak of the early stage spirit sea realm for 3 whole days. During these 3 days, he had continued to absorb fire element true chi. If it had been anyone else, they would have likely advanced to the mid-stage spirit sea by now. But Yi Chun was different. Although he hadn't broken through to the mid-stage spirit sea, an earth-shattering piece of good news had befallen him. That was the True Thunder induction for the 5th layer of the Primordial Star Scriptures Gang Yuan chapter, True Thunder Extreme Change, had finally arrived. True Thunder Extreme Change required the quantity of Gang Yuan True Chi in Yi Chun's body to reach a limit before True Thunder induction would occur within. Yi Chun had entered the 12th layer of True Chi without triggering True Thunder induction and remained without it even upon reaching the early stage Spirit Sea. Now, Yi Chun finally understood the reason. This was because the amount of Gang Yuan True Chi within his body had not truly reached its limit. What is the true limit? It means that the speed at which he absorbs heaven and earth true chi to generate Gang Yuan true chi far exceeds the demands of cultivation. When he obtained the fire elemental spirit stone, the infinite fire element true chi it provided crazily increased the Gang Yuan true chi within Yi Chun's body, endlessly enhancing it. After reaching the peak of the early spirit sea realm, Yi Chun finally found the feeling of touching this limit of Gang Yuan. That is, the infinite spirit sea could no longer accommodate the Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid. With the frantic replenishment from the fire elemental spirit stone, the Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid continuously compressed and churned until it touched upon the edge of the limit. At that moment, Yi Chun heard an explosive bursting of countless Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid throughout his spirit sea, all of them screeching. Yi Chun saw flashes of white true thunder shapes within the entire Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid. Finally, with a roaring sound from the true thunder-shaped Gang Yuan true chi spirit liquid, thunderous roars formed. These were the true thunder induction sounds that Yi Chun had been eagerly awaiting. The sound of true thunder induction truly conveyed to Yi Chun the spell for invoking the 9 heavens true thunder. Yi Chun had finally reached the requirements for the last level of the Gang Yuan chapter. The True Thunder Extreme Change stated that after the True Thunder induction, one must invoke the bombardment of the 9 heavens True Thunder within 3 months to trigger the extreme transformation of Gang Yuan True Chi. In the past 2 days, Yi Chun had been preparing to invoke the 9 heavens True Thunder in one go and complete the True Thunder Extreme Change, thereby stepping into the 2nd chapter of the Primordial Star Scripture. Yi Chun even felt that if he could meditate for another 4 or 5 days, he would definitely be able to invoke the 9 heavens true thunder and step into the 2nd chapter of the Primordial Star Scripture. But unexpectedly, at this time, a shocking and strange change occurred on the 4th Sea Island. This change even woke up Yi Chun from his meditation. When Yi Chun flew into the void and saw the chaotic situation on the 4th Sea Island, he knew that his plan to attack the True Thunder Extreme Change on this outer island had to be altered. To assault the True Thunder Extreme Change, one must fully commit their mind and spirit without the slightest distraction, let alone being disturbed by external elements. Clearly, the current 4th Sea Island no longer provided Yi Chun with an environment for quiet cultivation and breakthrough. Luckily, after True Thunder induction, I have 3 months to assault the True Thunder Extreme Change. There is still time to wait. Let's first see what's happening on this island. Having his meditation interrupted, Yi Chun was somewhat frustrated, but he was more concerned about the strange changes on the island. When he flew out of the valley and approached one of the sky-piercing black light pillars, Like other people, Yi-chun also noticed that this soaring black light pillar caused many giant beasts to undergo metamorphosis. Because Yi-chun personally witnessed 4 high-level great demons fly into the black light pillar, and, in the next moment, transformed into even more formidable great demons, roaring as they charged towards him. What is this black light that can instantaneously boost the strength of great demons? Yi-chun frowned as he watched the soaring black pillar, becoming more vigilant about this ancient tomb. Boom! Just then, for great demons, each reaching the level of a half-step demon king, lunged towards Yi-chun in the blink of an eye. As the 4 great demons opened their maws wide, ready to tear at Yi-chun, he let out a cold snort. Swish! 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 In an instant, 4 swords of true chi appeared around Yi-chun. No sooner had the 4 swords of true chi appeared than they vanished, and in the next instant, they blasted into the skulls of the 4 great demons. Spurt! 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 With virtually no resistance, the 4 great demons, each at the level of a half-step demon king, had their heads severed by the swords of true chi, slain in an instant. 7 days earlier, Yi-chun was capable of battling 3 willow demons even fiercer than these 4 great demons. Now, having absorbed a shocking amount of fire element true chi, the quantity of true chi in his body had explosively increased by more than tenfold compared to before, reaching the peak of the early spirit sea realm. Furthermore, he had induced true thunder. Not to mention these 4 great demons, even if he were to face those 3 willow demons again, Yi-chun could completely annihilate them without resorting to his flying sword. After slaying the 4 great demons, Yi-chun remained expressionless as he grabbed their heads with an outstretched hand, bringing them before him. After closely inspecting the 4 great demons' heads, Yi-chun extended his hand and flung the heads away. I should go check out other places. The entire 4th Sea Island is likely in chaos now. After muttering to himself, Yi-chun's escaping light flashed instantaneously, and he disappeared from the void. Chapter 212 Yi-chun makes a move. In the western region of the 4th Sea Island, atop a plain, 5 silhouettes were running at breakneck speed. These 5 figures with delicate and graceful bodies, enticingly perky breasts, slim waists, and straight, long legs, would catch anyone's eye and make it difficult to look away. These 5 figures were none other than the 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect from the 4th Sea Island. At this moment, the beautiful faces of the 5 female disciples were filled with panic. For behind them, 3 great demons at the level of a half-step demon king were frantically pursuing them. These 3 great demons were monstrous serpents, each over 200 meters long, with exceedingly bright patterns on their bodies. Their teeth emitted a faint blue glow, clearly indicating a deadly poison. The 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect were all at the latter stages of the spirit sea realm. Emerging from the 5th-rank grand sect, moon-concealing sect, their strength was extraordinary. Had there been only 1 or 2 great demons of a half-step demon king level, they might have coped with the combined efforts of them all. But when these 3 gigantic serpent demons attacked together, the disciples were only able to resist for 3 moves before they were at a disadvantage. If they hadn't acted quickly, mastering formidable dodging techniques, and fled at the first sign of trouble, they would likely have died in the maws of the monstrous serpents already. Even so, after being pursued by the 3 monstrous serpents for half a day, they were unable to escape their tracking. Even their true chi had been depleted by over half. Forced to the ground, they continued to use light evasion techniques and bodily movements to flee, but still found the great demons closing the distance. Now, they could already smell the foul breath of the 3 monstrous serpents. When the distance between them and the 3 monstrous serpents closed to just over 20 meters, the faces of the 5 moon-concealing sect female disciples turned pale with fear. They knew that if they were truly caught, they would have no chance of survival. Could it be that we're going to die in this ancient tomb? I've been cultivating in the sect all this time. I haven't had the chance to travel around the heavenly wind kingdom, let alone the barbaric wilderness continent. I don't want to die like this. In this critical moment, countless thoughts involuntarily flashed through the minds of the 5 female disciples. Some even thought, I haven't even found a male cultivator I like. Am I really going to die now? Just as these thoughts crossed their minds, the distance between them and the three monstrous serpents shortened to just 7 or 8 meters. Perhaps in the next instant, with one leap, the great demons would swallow them whole. Feeling the increasingly intense stink of the monstrous serpent's breath behind them, and even the air they exhaled swarming around them, the 5 female disciples turned deathly pale, realizing there was no escape. Roar! 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 Just as the 3 monstrous serpents were about to catch up, their eyes flashed with a dark, murderous light. They roared like wild beasts. Their tails slammed forcibly against the ground, propelling them to lunge toward the 5 female disciples, even opening their huge mouths and baring their sharp teeth. Ah! The 5 female disciples, seeing the shadow of the serpents above them, the gaping mouths, and the sharp fangs, couldn't help but scream, and in the next moment, they involuntarily closed their eyes. We're dead. We're going to die. As these thoughts crossed their minds, they suddenly heard an exceptionally clear sound of a sword cry. Then, they heard the thudding of massive bodies crashing onto the ground. The 5 female disciples couldn't help but open their eyes and look back. What they saw made them incredulously cover their mouths. The 3 fearsomely fanged monstrous serpents that had been about to tear and bite at them, all had their heads separated from their bodies and had fallen dead to the ground. The 3 great demons at the half-step demon king level had just died like that. Who killed these 3 great demons and saved them? The 5 female disciples looked towards the sky and saw a sword of true chi suspended in the air. Was it this sword of true chi that had slain the 3 half-step demon king level great demons? The 5 female disciples simply couldn't believe it. At this moment, they saw a figure in the far distance approaching them rapidly. Could it be that he saved us? God! Look at the distance between us. It's several thousand meters apart. To span a distance of several thousand meters and slay 3 half-step demon king level great demons with a true chi flying sword. Who in the 4th sea island has such power? The 5 female disciples' breathing quickened. As they watched, the figure drew closer and landed beside the sword of true chi. This figure was a youthful boy of about 15 or 16, with a tall and slender build, a handsome face, and eyes dark and lively. As the wind in the void gently stirred, his clothes rustled, and his black hair fluttered with the breeze. At that moment, the youth was smiling at the 5 young girls and said lightly, "My fellow Taoists, are you all right?" This young man, who had made such a deep impression on these 5 female disciples upon entering 4th Sea Island. Who else could he be but Yi Chun? Yi Chun! It's you, Yi Chun, you saved us. The 5 female disciples from Moon Concealing Sect, looking at Yi Chen's faint smile in the void, felt tumultuous emotions within their hearts. They had long recognized Yi Chen's remarkable abilities. But Yi Chen's performance just now was simply too impressive. From thousands of kilometers away, with one sword strike he had directly slain 3 great demons at the half-step demon king level and rescued them. Yi Chen's actions were comparable to the rotating pill experts from their own sect. This handsome young man had surprised them once again. Watching Yi Chen's smiling face, the 5 female disciples couldn't help but feel their hearts pounding uncontrollably. A nameless feeling was rising within their hearts. At this moment, Yi Chun reached out and transformed the sword of true chi back into true chi, retracting it into his body. Then, with a step in the void, he landed beside the 5 women. Feeling Yi Chen's presence by their side, one of the taller girls blushed and approached him. "Yi Chun, thank you for saving us. Where have you been cultivating all this time?" As this girl spoke, the other female disciples couldn't hold back either, and they all approached Yi Chun, saying, "Yi Chun, how did you become so powerful? It's been only a little over 20 days since we last saw you, but I feel like your strength has increased a lot compared to when you first arrived on the island and fought with Wang Locheng. Indeed, I have never seen a young man as powerful as you. It's almost like you're one of those rotating pill realm experts from our sect who have been cultivating for decades, even hundreds of years. Yi Chun, I heard you're from Taishan sect. Fairy Jialuo from your sect is good friends with Fairy Anaisia from our moon-concealing sect. Right? This time Fairy Nishang, Fairy Anaisia's junior sister from our sect, has also come, but we don't know which island she is on. I'm afraid your strength might even surpass that of Fairy Nishang from our sect. The 5 female disciples eagerly competing to speak made Yi Chun smile and shake his head. He looked at the 5 of them and spoke. Ladies, we can talk about other things later. What exactly happened on Fourth Sea Island? Why did so many giant beams appear? And what caused all those behemoths to go berserk? I've been cultivating all this time, completely unaware of what's been happening outside. I hope you can enlighten me. We don't know either. The 5 female disciples shook their heads. All of a sudden, many earth-shaking dark beams appeared on Fourth Sea Island. We were outside hunting giant beasts when we saw a dark beam not far away. Then we noticed that the beasts suddenly grew stronger and went mad. Yi Chun. This incident is really too strange. Moreover, before we encountered the chase of these half-step Demon King-level pythons, we found that many hidden treasure troves had appeared all over the island. We were on our way to the nearest one when we were chased by the pythons. Had it not been for you, we would have died at their hands. Hearing the overlapping voices of the 5 female disciples, Yi Chun nodded. So these earth-shaking dark beams had appeared all of a sudden, and the 5 of them didn't know why either. It seemed that no one knew why these beams had suddenly appeared. And then there were those treasure troves that had begun to emerge all over the place. When Yi Chun was flying through the void, he had seen areas of spiritual light in the distance on the island. He was heading towards the nearest such location when he detected the danger the girls were in and decided to help them. With this in mind, Yi Chun looked at the women again and asked, "Would you like to go to that hidden treasure site with Yi Chun? At that place, we may meet more tomb-exploring companions and gather more information." When Yi Chun extended the invitation, the 5 female disciples exchanged glances, revealing surprised and delighted expressions. They nodded continuously. "To go with you, Yi Chun, of course we're willing." They appreciated Yi Chun's good intentions. If they continued to move around on their own, they might encounter danger again. And even if they had avoided the pythons this time, they might still die at the hands of an unknown great demon next time. If they could join Yi Chun, their safety was assured, as they had witnessed his strength firsthand. "Yi Chun, my name is Lu Mei. This is junior sister Mu Xinlan, and this is..." The 5 female disciples began introducing themselves to Yi Chun. Yi Chun nodded, taking note of their names. "Let's go. With the situation as it is, many people may be in danger. We should hurry to other regions and see what's going on." In the end, Yi Chun waved his sleeve and flew into the void ahead. Whoosh! 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 The 5 female disciples also moved gracefully and followed Yi Chun into the void. Then, the 6 of them flew towards the nearest hidden treasure site. Chapter 213 Infinite Treasures. Having flown for about half an hour and slain no less than 100 great demons, Yi Chun and the 6 disciples of the moon-concealing sect finally caught sight of the nearest location where spiritual light flickered, signaling an area of yet-to-be-claimed treasures. In a valley filled with flowers of various colors that wafted a strange, refreshing fragrance, which carried to them on the breeze, Yi Chun and the 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect breathed in the scent, and all felt invigorated and refreshed. At that moment, a fierce battle was raging in the valley. 8 tomb explorers were fighting against a group of great demons. All 8 tomb explorers were at the late stage of the spirit sea realm, and the great demons they were facing were enormous fire butterflies. Each of these fire butterflies was several meters in size, and each one's aura was shockingly powerful. Each had reached the level of a high-ranking great demon. When attacking, with just a flap of their wings, these fire butterflies would cast a swath of flames towards the tomb explorers. With around 30 to 40 fire butterflies swarming in for the attack, flames filled the sky, and the 8 tomb explorers were evidently at a disadvantage. What was remarkable was that although the fire from these butterflies could scorch the earth and crack it open, when the flames fell upon the flowers in the valley, the blooms remained undamaged and as beautifully vibrant as ever. Seeing this, it was clear that the flowers in this valley were no ordinary flora. Could it be that the treasures of this place are these flowers? Asked Lu Mei, one of the female disciples from the moon-concealing sect, standing beside Yi-chan. Yi-chan nodded. It's likely that the most precious things in this valley are the flowers, especially that blue one. Following Yi-chan's gaze, one could see at the very center of the hundreds of flowers in the valley, one in particular that was most unique. All the other flowers had multiple blossoms of either white or red, while this one in the center had only a single large blue flower. This large blue flower looked akin to a cluster of smoldering blue flames, grander and more majestic than all the other flowers. The moment Yi-chen's consciousness touched the blue flower, he felt such intense heat that he instantly withdrew his consciousness. Just as Yi-chan and the 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect flew over the valley and were observing the situation within, the 8 tomb explorers who were battling with the fire butterflies spotted them and shouted, "Fellow Taoists, please assist us. These fire butterflies are too difficult to handle. If fellow Taoists help us dispatch them, we are willing to share the earth fragrance flowers with you." Seeing the tomb explorers at a disadvantage and calling for help, Yi-chan would naturally not stand by idly. "Take action," Yi-chan ordered the 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect. Boom! The moment his command was issued, Yi-chan flashed down to the fray. With a light flick of his finger, a fire butterfly that was viciously spewing flames towards him was instantly bisected. "Let's join in." Seeing Yi-chan make his move, the 5 female disciples of the moon-concealing sect also dove down and began battling the 30 to 40 fire butterflies. The prior 8 who were struggling against the fire butterflies breathed a sigh of relief with the reinforcements' arrival. After they had just jointly slain 3 fire butterflies and turned back, they were shocked to their core, because, to their astonishment, the previously ferocious swarm of fire butterflies had been wiped out in just a moment. The ground was littered with the carcasses of fire butterflies. Most of these slain fire butterflies had been split in half by the same type of sword wounds, clearly the work of the same person. These 8 had been struggling against the fire butterflies for quite some time and knew how formidable they were. They could not have imagined that the 6 people who came to aid them could dispatch the fire butterflies so swiftly. "You are the 5 Taoist friends from the moon-concealing sect. Yi-chen, Taoist brother Yi-chan, you've come as well." The 8 looked at the newcomers and recognized Yi-chan and his party immediately. Upon entering the 4th Sea Island, Yi-chan made a name for himself by defeating the half-step Demon King level Wang Luocheng. So there was no one on the island who did not know him. And the 5 beautiful girls from the moon-concealing sect, with their striking looks, had also made an unforgettable impression on others. Yi-chan and his group landed beside the 8 and asked, "Weren't a lot of beasts rushing into the treasure land? Why are there only these fire butterflies here?" One of the 8 pointed at the flowers in the valley and explained, "These flowers, known as earth fragrance flowers, are peculiar blooms. They are harmless to humans and can even help humans concentrate better during cultivation. But to great demons, these flowers are a natural foe. Nearly all great demons lose much of their fighting strength when they smell the fragrance of the earth fragrance flowers. That's why great demons won't enter places where earth fragrance flowers are present." After the black pillars of light erupted from this island, the great demons became extremely violent and rampaged everywhere. We could not withstand the onslaught of countless great demons. If it wasn't for 2 Taoist friends from Peach Blossom Valley who discovered these earth fragrance flowers in the treasure land, allowing us to hide in this valley, we would likely have died at the hands of the great demons. However, although the earth fragrance flowers affect most great demons, where the earth fragrance flowers grow, there are always guardian creatures like the fire butterflies. We may have escaped the pursuit of great demons, but then we fell into the siege of these fire butterflies. Without the help of several fellow Taoists, we would have probably died in this valley, if not outside it. Speaking of which, the tomb explorer wiped the sweat off his brow and took a deep breath. Yi-chan nodded in understanding, finally realizing why only these fire butterflies remained. "These flowers are earth fragrance flowers, but what about that blue flower in the very middle? Why does it seem different from the others?" Yichen pointed at the peculiar blue flower he had noticed earlier and curiously asked the people around him. That flower is the king of earth fragrance flowers. Earth fragrance flowers are common, but the king of earth fragrance flowers is extremely rare. We never expected to encounter one here. One of the short and plump young tomb explorers said, Earth fragrance flowers can restrain many great demons, and if the king of earth fragrance flowers is refined into a pill, it can even restrain demon kings at the rotating pill level. Perhaps this king of earth fragrance flowers is the true treasure of this relic site. The king of earth fragrance flowers? Capable of restraining demon kings at the rotating pill level. These words from the plump youth took Yichen aback. If true, this blue flower was indeed a treasure. Not to mention, during battle, if it could slightly weaken the combat power of a being at the demon king level, it might very well change the outcome of the fight. Seeing Yichen eyeing the king of earth fragrance flowers, the 8 tomb explorers exchanged glances before the plump youth said with a smile, If the fellow cultivators from the moon-concealing sect don't mind, we'd like to offer this king of earth fragrance flowers to Brother Yichen. These 8 had noticed that within Yichen's group of 6, the 5 moon-concealing sect female disciples implicitly regarded Yichen as their leader. Furthermore, when they first entered the 4th Sea Island, Yichen had disabled Wang Luocheng, who was at the half-step rotating pill level. Thus it was clear that Yichen had contributed the most in killing off the fire butterflies. All 8 were late-stage spirit sea cultivators. On this 4th Sea Island plagued with great demons, they were naturally willing to curry favor with Yichen. After all, Yichen's strength surpassed many at the half-step rotating pill level and was far beyond theirs. Hearing the words of the 8, the 5 moon-concealing sect female disciples smiled gently. This king of earth fragrance flowers is a miraculous item aimed at the demon king level. Even with this flower in hand, we would not dare to face a demon king. It seems this flower is destined for Yichen, as his current strength is such that he could even fight a demon king if encountered. Yes, giving it to Yichen, we certainly agree. Hearing what the moon-concealing sect female disciples said, the 8 were even more astonished. Yichen could fight a demon king? Amid their surprise, Yichen smiled and said, I am indeed interested in this king of earth fragrance flowers. Since that's the case, I will gladly accept it. I'll take this king of earth fragrance flowers, and you fellow cultivators can distribute the rest. Let's secure these flowers and together with our 6, continue to explore other domains. It seems there are many great items on the island now. Yichen's gaze lingered on the blue king of earth fragrance flowers, and then shifted beyond the valley. Earlier, the fire elemental spirit stone he acquired had greatly enhanced his strength. Now, with this king of earth fragrance flowers, Yichen had a means to confront demon kings, and he was eager to see what other magical treasures were to be found on the island. Fellow Yichen, would you be willing to take us with you? Hearing Yichen's words, the 8 late-stage spirit sea strongmen were overjoyed. To follow Yichen, a youth more formidable than many at the half-step rotating pill level, on this great demon-infested 4th Sea Island, meant much greater safety for them. Quick! Let's gather these flowers and then go with Brother Yichen to other places. The few among the 8 who were familiar with the earth fragrance flowers began to collect the flowers in the valley. A short while later, 14 figures soared up from the valley and flew towards the next location. One day later, in the western part of the 4th Sea Island where it meets the center, at a large mountain cliff, 3 cave entrances were gushing out spiritual light. At that moment, outside these caves, the corpses of 70 to 80 great demons were scattered across the ground, among which there were unmistakably the bodies of 9 great demons at the half-step demon king level. Not far from these bodies stood 15 people. These 15 were the 5 female disciples from the moon-concealing sect, plus the 8 from the Flower Valley, and 2 more late-stage spirit sea disciples who had joined them. Right then, all 15 were expressing their amazement. Brother Yichen is truly incredible. In just one day, he led us across the 4th Sea Island with such ease, completely unafraid of any great demon. At this secret spot, 9 half-step Demon King level great demons and more than 70 high-level great demons were nearly all slain by him. His current strength is such that he doesn't have to fear the countless great demons rampaging across the island. Having him lead us this time has saved our lives." Amid their exclamations, the spiritual light at the 3 cave entrances abruptly vanished, followed by a figure holding 18 beads flying out of one of the caves. This figure emerging with treasures was none other than Yi-chun. "Brother Yi-chun." Seeing Yi-chun fly out, all 15 approached to greet him. Yi-chun said to them with a smile, "Let's go to the next domain. We'll distribute these treasures along the way." Chapter 214. Sweeping through the 4th island. 3 days later, in the central region of the 4th sea island, beside a vast lake, Yi-chun was seated facing the water. Behind Yi-chun, 20 other people were also sitting cross-legged. Over the past few days, as Yi-chun continuously flew across the 4th sea island, searching for legacy treasures and secret grounds, more and more people joined his team. After Yi-chun and his team had unearthed 7 legacy treasures and secret grounds, they had moved from the western to the central region of the 4th sea island. Moreover, the number of people following Yi-chun had increased to 20. Among these 20, there was even an existence at the half-step rotating pill level. But even this half-step rotating pill sat quietly behind Yi-chun. After all, it was Yi-chun who had saved his life, and he was filled with immense respect and gratitude towards Yi-chun. This half-step rotating pill came from the 5-grade Great Sect, Cloud Sky Sect, and he had seen many experts, but even after encountering countless masters, Yi-chun's strength still shocked him deeply. It was because this half-step rotating pill witnessed Yi-chun's power when he had rescued him from a cave by killing 8 incredibly formidable half-step demon kings. The half-step rotating pill knew that at this moment, Yi-chun could absolutely sweep through all half-step rotating pills of their Cloud Sky Sect. With Yi-chun leading, even if the great demons rampant on the 4th sea island posed a threat, his safety was absolutely guaranteed. Yi-chun was undoubtedly the most qualified among them to enter the central great island and compete with masters from the other 9 islands. After a while, the 20 people seated behind Yi-chun gradually woke from their meditative states and stood up one after another. A bit later, Yi-chun, who had been sitting at the very front, also opened his eyes and stood up. Marvelous! Absolutely marvelous! Although this ancient tomb is eerily abnormal, the treasures within are truly extraordinary. Yi-chun looked at the lake before him, exclaiming in admiration. The reason they were seated beside this lake was that it was the 8th legacy treasure and secret ground they were exploring. Yi-chun and his team had noticed something unusual because, when the 21 of them flew over the lake, they saw no fewer than 100 great demons, all sitting quietly by the lake, regardless of their kind. It was precisely because Yi-chun and his team entered this territory that these great demons furiously attacked them. Once they had dealt with these demons, Yi-chun and the others also sat by the lake as the great demons had done. With this seating, everyone understood why those great demons had been sitting there before. Flying over the lake wouldn't result in any strange sensation, but once they sat down beside it, all of them felt an odd energy from the lake, nourishing their divine senses. This nourishment was continuously enhancing their spiritual power. Even when the nourishment ended and Yi-chun could no longer sense this energy, the scope of his divine sense extended from an original radius of 20 li to 30 li, a significant increase in distance. This meant that the range of Yi-chun's divine sense perception became vast, and the distance over which he could use void instantaneous change, divine skills for instantaneous movement, was also greatly extended. Yi-chun gained a lot, and so did the others, though their divine senses might not have reached 30 li like Yi-chun's. All of them experienced at least a 30% increase. Filled with great gains, these individuals stood up and gathered in front of Yi-chun. The waiting group finally saw Yi-chun turn his gaze towards yet another region at the eastern edge of the 4th sea island. Let's go and continue exploring this 4th sea island. In the time that followed, Yi-chun led his team towards the unexplored territories of the 4th sea island. This movement was a complete push across the island. No matter where they flew, whatever attacks from great demons they encountered, the team killed every demon. Weaker demons were handled by those with lesser strength. Against formidable demons, even several late-stage Spirit Sea members would strike together to kill them. When they faced great demons they couldn't defeat, Yi-chun personally took action, ensuring that no matter how fierce the demon, it would be killed without fail. After searching 8 legacy treasure locations and obtaining no fewer than 100 legacy treasures, with each member receiving some, they went on to explore 6 more legacy treasure sites. There were mysterious orchards with sky-reaching ancient trees. There were lands filled with rampaging demon bees and spiritual honey. And there were divine marvel ancient weapons that countless great demons fiercely fought over. Through the exploration of one legacy treasure site after another, the tomb explorers following Yi Chun were continually increasing in strength, and their push across the Fourth Sea Island was getting faster and faster. When one day remained until the end of the month-long exploration of the outer peripheral islands, Yi Chen's group had completely swept through the entire 3,000 li of the Fourth Sea Island. By this time, Yi Chen's team had grown to a total of 25 people. Apart from the 7 who died amidst the ravages of demon beasts and the perils of exploration, all the others, including the 5 half-step rotating pill survivors from the Fourth Sea Island, had joined the group. Atop a huge reef on the easternmost shore of the Fourth Sea Island, 25 people turned to look back at the vast expanse of the Fourth Sea Island. It's over. We've finally explored the entire Fourth Sea Island. There was joy in everyone's eyes. No matter their rank on the wooden plaques, whether or not they were in the top 10, whether or not they had the qualifications to enter the central giant island, they were all thrilled, because they had survived. Everyone knew how difficult it was to survive amid the mysterious black pillar eruptions and the rampages of numerous great demons. With this thought, countless gazes converged on Yi Chun, who stood atop the reef. Because of Yi Chun, everyone was immensely grateful to Yi Chun. Even the few half-step rotating pill cultivators were deeply thankful to him. They knew that if it weren't for Yi Chun, even if they could have survived, they wouldn't have been able to roam the Fourth Sea Island so freely and dominate it as they did. Not only did they survive, but they also reaped great rewards during their continuous exploration of the Fourth Sea Island. Everyone agreed on Yi Chen's leadership because not only was he the strongest, but also when it came to treasures, he wasn't greedy and always distributed them fairly. The treasures they had obtained following Yi Chun were more numerous and precious than those they could have found adventuring on their own. If all 10 islands have such strange black pillars and are overrun by great demons, then our Fourth Sea Island most likely has the highest number of survivors. These people turned their heads and looked out towards the vast sea. At this moment, Yi Chun, standing on the reef, also gazed out to sea. His black hair was fluttering in the sea breeze. Having successfully navigated the Fourth Sea Island these days, he was quite satisfied with his gains. He had not only advanced his true Qi realm to the early peak of the Spirit Sea, but his external martial skills, the sword formation, and the 9 transformation fighting body had also seen significant improvements. Most importantly, Yi Chun had finally achieved true thunder induction and could begin to challenge the final tier of the primordial star scriptures Gang Yuan chapter. But at this moment, Yi Chun was worried. He could save many people on the Fourth Sea Island, but Zhang Yao was not on the Fourth Sea Island, and he was concerned for her. Zhang Yao's strength was enough to contend with the half-step rotating pill warriors, but the tomb explorers on the other islands might not unite as they did on the Fourth Sea Island. If the other islands fell into mutual combat, coupled with the rampage of giant beasts, accidents could very well happen. There's only one more day before the teleportation formation to the Central Sea Island opens. I hope Zhang Yao is all right. Once we enter the Central Sea Island, we can explore it together. Yi Chun was both excited and nervous about the imminent journey to the Central Giant Island. Not just Yi Chun, the other 9 who had qualified to enter the Central Giant Island were also getting anxious. In one more day, they would enter the Central Giant Island, joining together with the other experts from the other 9 islands. These outer islands were so mysterious, they had no idea what lay in store on the Central Giant Island. However, they were looking forward even more to the rotating pill-level legacy treasures on the Central Giant Island. The Spirit Sea-level legacy treasures from the outer islands had already brought them much, so they were naturally eager to see what the even more precious rotating pill-level treasures would be like. Amidst the waiting of everyone on the Fourth Sea Island, the day passed by extraordinarily peacefully. When the 30th day of entering the ancient tomb arrived, a massive teleportation array light circle suddenly appeared over the fourth sea island. This teleportation array light circle almost seemed to envelop the entire island. Not just on the fourth sea island, but at the same time on the other 9 islands as well, similarly massive teleportation array light circles appeared. All the surviving tomb explorers looked towards the teleportation array light circles in the void, knowing that the second region of this ancient tomb exploration, the central giant island, was about to be unveiled. Chapter 215. Kill them all. Hum. 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 When the 10 teleportation array light circles appeared in the sky above the 10 islands, the wooden tablets in the hands of all the tomb explorers on these islands also emitted a glow. In the midst of the fourth sea island, Yichun, as well as the other 5 with half-step rotating pills, and 4 of the 5 female disciples from the moon concealing sect, saw the light from their wooden tablets was more intense than others. That was because these 10 individuals were precisely the ones who ranked in the top 10 for hunting giant beasts on the fourth sea island and who possessed the qualifications to enter the central giant island. It's about to start. The intense glow of these wooden tablets will probably teleport us into the central giant island. Yichun and the others all looked at their wooden tablets. At this moment, the others on the fourth sea island without the qualifications to enter the central giant island were all looking at Yichun and his group. In the end, their gazes all converged on Yichun. Yichun, thank you for your help. Once you enter the central giant island, you must be careful. The central giant island, where the experts from the 10 great islands come together. Even if you're extraordinarily powerful, you still need to watch out for others. These peripheral islands are mysterious and unpredictable. The central giant island is likely even more dangerous, so whatever happens, your life is the most important. These people were all speaking to Yichun, expressing their gratitude towards him. Thank you all. Since you cannot enter the central giant island, just cultivate on this peripheral island. The island's giant beasts have been cleared by us, so there should be no danger. However, if anything unexpected happens, also be careful, said Yichun, nodding towards them. As they conversed, the light from the wooden tablets in the hands of Yichun's group completely enveloped all 10 of them. We're about to be teleported. The remaining people all stared at Yichun and his group, and as they watched, a flash of light enveloped them, and they rose up, entering the teleportation array in the sky. Instantly, they completely vanished from the sky above the fourth sea island. On the 8th sea island, the teleportation is about to begin. At the edge of the island, Zhang Yao and the 3 half-step rotating pill female disciples from the moon concealing sect were all excited. As they watched excitedly, the glow from the wooden tablets in their hands completely enveloped them, and they flew straight into the teleportation array light circle above the 8th sea island. Apart from the teleportation of Zhang Yao's group of 4, 6 others from the 8th sea island were also teleported away. Among these 6, there were the 3 from the flame sect with half-step rotating pills, who had earlier besieged Zhang Yao. They too had successfully obtained the qualifications to enter the central giant island. Besides the 4th and 8th sea islands, tomb explorers from other islands were also flying into the teleportation arrays in the sky above the islands. In some of these islands, there were only 8 survivors, and in one island, there were only 9 who lived, not even filling the 10 available spots. In the end, these individuals all disappeared into the teleportation arrays. From this, one could see just how brutal the slaughter on the other islands had been. However, among all those teleported to the central sea island, the ones with great power were among them. Fairy Nishang, Lu Yen, the 3 powerful half-step rotating pills from the Cloud Sky sect on the 10th sea island, and the youth known as Yun Luo. Even that enigmatic individual with the secret identity of a Demon Tower disciple from the 7th sea island, a cloud-soaring sect disciple named Shuiyu, was also teleported to the central sea island, just as all those who had obtained the qualification to enter the central sea island soared into the teleportation array. In the deepest part of the ancient tomb, next to a huge marsh bronze coffin, a strange demonic creature known as Tiger Demon Teng, over 300 meters tall, with a tiger's head, a human body, and body shrouded in billowing black mist, also turned its enormous, gloomy eyes towards the outer islands. 93 people have entered the central sea island? Too many, far too many. Some more must die. Once they enter the Central Sea Island, let's activate the 3 deadly traps that the Master set up long ago. Die. Let these 3 deadly traps kill some more. The Master said he only needs one. Many must die within the Central Sea Island. Let me select from the few who remain for him to choose. Tiger Demon Tongue, speaking these strange words, looked toward the direction of the islands. Then it turned its gaze to those who had been left behind on the 10 great islands, those without the qualifications to enter the Central Sea Island. The remaining people, if not dead sacrifices, then let them be living sacrifices. My other 7 old companions also need to awaken some by this occasion. Boom! 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 As Tiger Demon Tongue spoke, it pointed a gigantic black palm towards the massive swamp where the bronze coffin was located, causing the countless black bubbles in the swamp to churn violently. In the midst of this tumultuous eruption of black bubbles, all 10 outer islands began to shake violently. What's going on? The tomb explorers remaining on the islands, having just sent away those heading for the Central Sea Island, realized the ground beneath their feet had begun to tear apart. In an instant, large fissures, tens of meters in length, split open across each island, and these fissures continued to widen relentlessly. At this rate, it seemed likely that the entire islands would eventually shatter completely. This situation petrified all those who had remained on the islands. In panic, they flew up from the islands and hovered in the sky, looking down below. As they looked down, the islands beneath their feet crumbled away completely, sinking into the sea in a matter of moments. Before anyone could react, those suspended in the void felt a tremendous pulling force. They stood no chance of struggle as they were all dragged into the waters below. Splash! 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 The moment these people fell into the sea, their flesh vanished in an instant, leaving only skeletal remains. The next moment, these bones disintegrated into dust, vanishing completely. The people remaining on the 10 islands were killed instantly without any opportunity to fight back. Just as all the outer islands crumbled and sank into the sea, and those left on the islands were killed, in the ancient tomb at the deepest part of the Great Marsh, 2 more demon towers on top of the bronze coffin slowly began to emit a glow. Unaware of these eerie developments, Yi Chun and the others who had been teleported had no idea. Yi Chun could not have even guessed that those sect disciples, who had just been giving him careful instructions and warning him to be cautious upon entering the Central Sea Island, had perished in the next moment. After all those left on the outer islands had been trapped and killed, Yi Chun, Jiang Yao, Fairy Nishong, Lu Yen, and the other 92 had arrived, amid the swirling teleportation light, at the Central Sea Island, larger than all 10 outer islands combined. Although they were still alive, similarly dangerous traps and betrayals awaited them. Chapter 216 Azure Blue Lake. Boom! 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 After the earth-shattering teleportation light and sound ceased, Yi Chun opened his eyes to find himself and 9 others from the 4th Sea Island now standing within a new realm. Is this the Central Giant Isle? Upon arriving in this new realm, Yi Chun's divine sense and vision immediately swept around, enveloping a 30-mile radius. Astonished, he took in the entirety of their surroundings. Below his feet was an unbelievably gigantic lotus leaf, its size measuring thousands of feet in diameter. The lotus leaf floated on the surface of an azure blue lake, and looking further afield, he could see more equally immense lotus leaves drifting not far away. One vast lotus leaf after another floated upon the azure blue ripples, stretching endlessly to the horizon. It was impossible to know how vast the lake was or how many giant lotus leaves it contained. Such enormous lotus leaves? Good heavens! These lotus leaves are extraordinarily huge, thousands of feet in diameter. Standing on them feels as if we're on solid ground. I've never seen such massive lotus leaves before. Is this really the Central Giant Isle? Were we transported here, to the very place where the legacy treasure lies within this lake? Didn't they say we'd be united with people from other islands upon being transported to the Central Giant Isle? Why don't I see anyone from other islands? just as those initially teleported to the giant lotus leaf were marveling at their entrance to this new realm. Amid a series of boom, boom, boom glowing flares, another group of 10 from a different island also arrived upon this same lotus leaf. These 10, just like Yi Chen's group, were taken aback at the sight of the immense lotus leaves and the water of the azure lake below, gazing around in astonishment and starting to discuss among themselves. The moment these 10 appeared, followed by more groups being transmitted. As streaks of light flickered, 10 batches in total, representing the qualified individuals from 10 islands, arrived on this enormous lotus leaf spanning thousands of feet. Zhang Yao. While more people continued to arrive on the lotus leaf, Yi Chun kept an eye out for the newcomers. When he spotted Zhang Yao among the 5th group of 10, clad in her pale yellow garments, he joyfully flew straight toward the girl. Yi Chun had been worried about Zhang Yao's welfare on the other islands, and seeing her safely arrive and reunite with him at last eased his anxious heart.
Yi Chen.
Zhang Yao also noticed him. A smile bloomed like pear blossoms across the delicate features of her face. She too had been concerned for Yi Chun. The feeling of being separated on different islands, while venturing through such a bizarre ancient tomb, had been unsettling. Finally, now, the two were reunited on the Central Isle's vast lotus leaf. From here on, no matter the challenges, they would face them together. How are you doing? Were there any problems? Which island were you on? When Yi Chun reached Zhang Yao, he immediately drew her into his embrace, inhaling her delicate fragrance, feeling a profound sense of tranquility. Being held like this, Zhang Yao's fair cheeks flushed with a touch of shyness. She lifted her chin slightly, looking up at Yi Chun. I'm fine. Luckily the sisters from the Moon Concealing Sect took good care of me. I was on the 8th Sea Island. Yi Chun, which one were you on? How have you been this past month? I was on the 4th Sea Island. Everything went well, Yi Chun said with a smile as he looked into Zhang Yao's clear, stellar eyes. As they shared their separate experiences, others on the lotus leaf also gathered with those they knew well, engaging in their own discussions. While everyone was busy sharing their own stories from the outer islands and exploring this sudden realm of the central giant isle, a tumultuous splash erupted from the azure lake. Then, a massive golden carp, over 200 meters long, soared from the water's surface, shooting into the air as it fixed its gaze on the people above the lotus leaf. Just as Lord Tiger said, 93 people have arrived on the central giant isle. This gigantic golden carp actually spoke in a human language. Demon King. This is a demon king. The sudden appearance of the talking golden carp gave all the tomb explorers on the lotus leaf quite a scare. It was their first time hearing the voice of a living creature within the ancient tomb. And by what the golden demon carp implied, it seemed that there were other demon kings within the tomb, addressing someone called Lord Tiger. Could there be other demon kings dwelling in this ancient tomb? The tomb explorers had already encountered the tomb's eeriness on the outer islands. Now, having suddenly arrived on the vast lotus leaf of the central giant isle and faced with this talking golden demon carp, all the tomb explorers fell silent for a moment. Yi Chun and Zhang Yao exchanged glances before turning their attention to the colossal golden carp. Together, they had previously encountered Demon King-level beings while venturing into the Thousand Lotus Cave abode. The two Demon Kings under Heavenly Saint Qianji and Heavenly Saint Lian Yu, a giant fire ape and a giant feathered bird, both with auras more formidable than this golden demon carp. Looking at this, I'm afraid that the Golden Koi is a Demon King at the initial stage of the Whirling Dan realm. At this moment, the Golden Koi's bewitching eyes emitted a dim glow, sweeping over the people on the lotus leaf. 93 people. Lord Tiger has ordered that for this first deadly zone, Azure Blue Lake within my domain, I must eliminate the weaker ones, so the rest can enter the second deadly zone. So, as per Lord Tiger's instructions, let me explain the rules of the Azure Blue Lake to these little ones from the 13 southern kingdoms. Being sized up by the golden demon carp's eerie glowing eyes, many people on the lotus leaf felt a tingling fear in their hearts. After all, this was the presence of a demon king. Despite appearing to be just a demon carp, if a great battle were to erupt, the vast majority here could easily be slaughtered. Only a few people like Yi Chun, Jiang Yao, Fairy Nishang, Lu Yen, and Yun Luo from the Heavenly Net sect were able to remain somewhat calm. As everyone waited, the golden demon carp finally spoke again. Little ones, your goal of entering the ancient tomb to obtain the legacy treasures of this tomb has come to my knowledge. I am the master of this ancient tomb, the very guardian left behind to oversee this first treasure-seeking area in the heart of the giant island. As you entered the tomb, I awakened from my seal. I shall tell you, this realm is called Azure Blue Lake, and in this lake lies the Whirling Dan level legacy treasure you desire. A Whirling Dan level legacy treasure hidden in the lake? Buzz. The words of the golden demon carp directed everyone's gaze towards the Azure Blue Lake. While everyone inspected the lake, the demon carp issued a series of mocking laughs, just like a human, then continued, the legacy treasures of Azure Blue Lake are not so easy to come by. You've just been teleported here, and you probably don't know that, aside from the lotus leaf you're standing on, you can't go anywhere else. The words of the demon carp left many in disbelief. Some tried to fly from the lotus leaf to the outside, only to find, as if blocked by a massive barrier, no matter how hard they tried, they could not escape the confines of the lotus leaf. This lotus leaf, spanning thousands of yards, was their only realm of activity, including even 1,000 yards up in the sky where a barrier similarly prevented escape. After one person attempted the feat, the others also tried their luck, including the strongest among them, such as Yi Chun, Fairy Nishang, Lu Yen, and the others. In the end, everyone found that they were truly constrained to this giant lotus leaf. Apart from the few like Yi Chun who had real trump cards they had not yet played, and therefore remained somewhat calm, everyone else's expressions grew grave. After all, this feeling of being constantly manipulated by others was far from pleasant. Seeing the 93 people testing their limits, the golden demon carp chuckled mockingly. This Azure Blue Lake was personally created by the master of the tomb, the great heavenly Saint Lord, over 3,000 years ago. Naturally, you will have to act according to the heavenly Saint Lord's arrangements. If you want to obtain the legacy treasures from the Azure Blue Lake, there is a way for you to leave the lotus leaf and enter the lake to seek treasures. Now, listen carefully to how you can do this. Upon hearing the golden demon carp's words, everyone on the giant lotus leaf perked up their ears. Out of the 93 of you, I will only allow 50 to leave the lotus leaf and enter the lake to seek treasures. Similarly, after a month passes, these 50 qualified treasure seekers will be transported to another realm, continuing to seek treasures in other parts of the central giant island. As for the remaining 43, lacking the qualifications to enter the lake and proceed to the next realm, you can stay obediently on this lotus leaf. Buzz, only 50 people are eligible to seek treasures. This caused the faces of many on the giant lotus leaf to shift visibly. At that moment, a half-whirling Dan member of the Flame sect on the lotus leaf asked, Great Golden Carp, how will these 50 be selected? The opportunity to enter the lake to seek treasures and proceed to the next realm was something nobody on the lotus leaf wanted to miss. After all, they were strong individuals who had fought their way into the central giant island from the outer islands. Naturally, none wished to fall behind upon entering the central giant island and end up with nothing on the lotus leaf. How will the 50 be chosen? The golden demon carp chuckled. That, of course, is for you to decide. You may fight amongst yourselves on the lotus leaf. You may opt for open nomination. I do not care. Whoever can subdue the others naturally qualifies for the 50 treasure-seeking spots. I will not interfere with how you seize the opportunity to enter the lake. In an hour, I will come back to see the outcome, and then one by one, I will allow you to enter the lake. After finishing its speech, the golden demon carp no longer paid attention to the crowd. With a flip of its mighty tail, it rolled back into the Azure Blue Lake. Boom! At this moment, the 93 individuals on the scene were plunged into utter silence, with many casting unfriendly looks at each other. Chapter 217. Seeking Death. Entering the lake to search for the rotating pill-level legacy treasure. Who wouldn't want such an opportunity? Unfortunately, according to what the demon carp said, of the 93 people present, only 50 would have the chance to search for the treasure. Moreover, this opportunity was not only about treasure hunting in the azure blue lake. If one couldn't enter the lake, they also wouldn't be able to go to other realms later on. Having come to the central giant island, were they supposed to just watch others hunt for treasure while being trapped on this huge lotus leaf? None of them would be willing to do that, of course. 50 spots, no matter what, I must secure one. Many clenched their teeth and thought. In the midst of the crowd, Lu Yen from the Fire Cloud sect, Na Yunluo from the Cloud Sky sect, and Fairy Nishang from the Moon Concealing sect appeared quite detached. They were representatives of the 5th grade sects, surrounded by their sect's disciples at this moment, and without question, they would have a chance to enter the azure blue lake. Seeing their might, not many dared to challenge these individuals. In the crowd, the majority were from the 3 major 5th grade sects and unaffiliated cultivators. The rest were just a few disciples from 6th grade sects, and almost all 7th grade sect individuals sent into the tomb had been stopped at the outer islands, without even the qualifications to reach the central giant island. At this time, most eyes were sizing up the disciples of the 6th grade sections. A significant number of gazes rested on Yichun and Jiang Yao. Yichen's prowess was known to those from the 4th Sea Island, but not to people from the other islands. In the crowd, Yichun and Jiang Yao were the lowest in cultivation level. Although the two had successfully made it to the central giant island, clearly having some tricks up their sleeves, who among those present didn't have their own methods? Everyone present had fought their way out from the peripheral islands, surviving the rampage of the giant beast's mutation. Apart from a few people like Lu Yen and Fairy Nishang who were feared, of course, no one was willing to submit to anyone else. Whoosh! At this moment, a half-step rotating pill from the Flame sect stepped forward, his gaze landing on Jiang Yao. This half-step rotating pill was none other than one of the 3 who had previously ambushed Jiang Yao on the 8th Sea Island. Since the demon carp said that only 50 people could enter the azure blue lake to hunt for treasure, then naturally we must eliminate some first. I think it's best to start with those of lower cultivation. The half-step rotating pill said coldly to Jiang Yao, "Little girl, you managed to escape at the 8th Sea Island thanks to your allies from the Moon Concealing sect. I didn't expect you to make it to the central giant island. However, the upcoming spots are tied to the opportunity for treasure hunting, and I think even the friends from the Moon Concealing sect won't back you up this time." This half-step rotating pill chose to target Jiang Yao directly as soon as he spoke. At this point, the only ones left from the Taishan sect in the arena were 3 people: Yichun, Jiang Yao, and another half-step rotating pill, Jin Liang. The others were trapped on the 10 peripheral islands, at least that's what Yichun and the others believed. In reality, they were already dead inside the ancient tomb. Seeing the half-step rotating pill aim at Jiang Yao first, Yichen's grip on her hand suddenly tightened, and a cold smile appeared on his face. He hadn't thought about eliminating others yet, but this man was already challenging Jiang Yao. Such audaciousness! Jiang Yao, on the other hand, stood quietly beside Yichun without speaking. She had not been afraid of the half-step rotating pill on the 8th Sea Island before she encountered the 3 ladies from the Moon Concealing sect, and now with Yichun by her side, she was even less afraid. Before Yichun and Jiang Yao could speak, Jin Liang stepped forward to stand in front of them. Although he didn't say anything, his actions indicated that if the half-step rotating pill wanted to trouble Jiang Yao, he would certainly stand up for her. "What? The 3 of you want to join forces?" The Flame sect's half-step rotating pill smiled. 2 other half-step rotating pills stepped out beside him. These 2 were part of the trio that had previously ambushed Jiang Yao with him. At this time, the Flame sect had as many as 12 remaining half-step rotating pills, and together with their leader, Lu Yen, these 3 from the Flame sect were certainly not afraid of anyone. And Lu Yen was right there, within the Flame sect's group, along with other half-step rotating pills, watching as these 3 challenged Yichun and his companions. After all, since they had to eliminate some people anyway, many among them were pleased to see someone take the lead. Relying on your numbers? Just as the 3 from the Flame sect stood out, the 3 female disciples from the Moon Concealing sect who had previously been with Jiang Yao also stepped forward. "You 3 harassed Sister Jiang Yao back on the 8th Sea Island, and now you're targeting her again. Do you really think Sister Zhang Yao is an easy target for your bullying? If we truly need to eliminate someone, we will start with you. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the three female disciples spoke, a large group of people stepped forward. These were all people from the Fourth Sea Island. If you want to target Brother Yichun, you'll have to get past us first. Brother Yichun, leave these three to us. All of them spoke loudly. Nonsense. Yichun was being directly targeted by the three disciples from the Flame Sect, and these people, having received great kindness from Yichun, naturally stood up for him. Seeing a large group suddenly stand up, even two Flame Sect half-step rotating pills pulled at the garments of the Flame Sect trio. The three half-step rotating pills from the Flame Sect who had targeted Zhang Yao suddenly changed their expressions. They hadn't expected that Zhang Yao, who seemed to stand alone with the youth by her side, would have so many people supporting her. Chapter 218. Outside the arena, Yun Luo of the Cloud Sky Sect, Fairy Nishang of the Moon Concealing Sect, as well as Lu Yan and others from the Flame Sect also looked at Yichun with surprise. They knew that for so many people to stand up in support, the young man before them must possess exceptional abilities. Humph! Watching a large crowd support Yichun and Zhang Yao, the three from the Flame Sect snorted coldly and flipped their sleeves, preparing to find someone else to make a move. Clearly, they realized that in this situation it wasn't a good idea to act against Zhang Yao. But did they really think they could just leave? Stop right there. Just as the three harbored thoughts of retreat, Yichun let go of Zhang Yao's hand and slowly walked up to them. I just heard from a friend of the Moon Concealing Sect that the three of you, back on the 8th Sea Island, had once ambushed Zhang Yao? Yichun asked the three with supreme calmness. Yichun's indifferent words fell into their ears and caused a jolt in the hearts of the trio. What? They had already conceded. Did the young man still intend to forcefully take Zhang Yao's side? They might be half-step rotating pill experts from the Flame Sect, and while they conceded, they couldn't believe this young man would dare to trouble them if they chose not to seek trouble first. So what if we ambushed her? One of the three half-step rotating pill experts from the Flame Sect retorted with a stiff neck. When the treasure black bead appeared, the strong have the right to seize it. This rule was already set when we entered the ancient tomb. Before the man could finish, Yichun's expression turned sharply. Shut up! The black bead treasure. These three actually attempted to murder Zhang Yao for the black bead treasure. Yichun had long known that the black bead treasure would provoke killing, but he hadn't expected that some would target Zhang Yao, intent on killing her to grab the wooden token on her for the black bead treasure. They were courting death. Yichun knew Zhang Yao had many tricks up her sleeve, but if she were really ambushed by these three half-step rotating pill experts, she would still likely sustain injuries in a fight. Had it been that Zhang Yao had no abilities, she might have very well died at their hands. These three, harboring murderous intent, truly deserved death. Thank you to the friends from the Moon Concealing Sect. Yichun turned his head to thank the three women who had helped Zhang Yao. Then, he turned his attention directly to the three from the Flame Sect. Power gives you the right to kill others? Very well, since that's what you believe, then today, I shall deal with you in the same way. The three of you, leave your lives here to avoid causing further harm. Yichun spoke out lightly. Against those ruthless enough to murder and rob, Yichun never showed mercy. Yichun's words directly caused many people present to change their expressions drastically. What? Was this young man planning to kill these three half-step rotating pill cultivators? Had he gone mad? They had seen that Yichun exuded the aura of the early stage of Spirit Sea, and even if this young man was formidable, he surely couldn't kill three half-step rotating pill experts. Yichun. Zhang Yao walked up to Yichun and stood shoulder to shoulder with him. If Yichun was going to act against these three half-step rotating pill experts, Zhang Yao certainly wouldn't stand aside. Friend Yichun, do you require our assistance? The three women from the Moon Concealing Sect also came forward. As disciples of a 5th-grade great sect, they were not afraid of the Flame Sect, another 5th-grade great sect. In the end, those from the 4th Sea Island who had previously stepped forward all came out as well. However, these people remained silent, for they knew of Yichun's prowess. To say nothing of these three half-step rotating pill cultivators, it was likely that no one present could match Yi Chun. They stepped forward merely to express their support for Yi Chun. Yi Chun patted Jiang Yao's small head, then smiled as he turned to those who had joined his side and shook his head. Killing these three is a trivial matter. There's no need for you all to make a move. Boom! As he spoke, Yi Chun stepped forward into the void. Once he released his vast true qi, his powerful and mysterious silver Gang Yuan true qi shot straight up hundreds of meters. The release of Yi Chen's true qi caused a change in everyone's expression. Even the strongest among them, including Fairy Nishang and Lu Yen, showed a hint of surprise. They found that the Yi Chun who had released his true qi was not merely an early-stage Linghai disciple anymore. His terrifying true qi even surpassed that of the half-step rotating pill cultivators. As for the trio from the Flame sect who were directly fixed under Yi Chen's gaze, their faces turned ashen when they saw such potent and extraordinary true qi around him. Previously, they hadn't believed that Yi Chun could kill them. But now, it appeared that this young man indeed had the strength to do so. From the moment Yi Chun released his true qi to the sudden shift in the crowd's expressions, it all happened in an instant. The next moment, Yi Chun made his move. The individuals who had harbored killing intent towards Jiang Yao, Yi Chun would naturally not let them go. Boom! While everyone was still reeling from the instant revelation of Yi Chen's strength, in the very next moment, they saw him abruptly appear before the three, smacking them with a fierce palm in the void. With no strength to resist, the trio was instantly sent hurtling backward by Yi Chen's palm, crashing heavily against the barrier surrounding the giant lotus leaf. Spurt! 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 Three half-step rotating pill experts, defeated by Yi Chun with a single move, coughing up blood. Amongst all the half-step rotating pill cultivators present, these three were considered strong, but they were no match for a single strike from Yi Chun and were all injured at the same time. This was truly shocking to everyone present, and at that moment Yi Chun, having struck once, moved again. He formed a hand seal and seemingly reached through the void, dragging the three half-step rotating pill cultivators towards him in midair. The three grabbed by Yi Chun cried out in terror as they were pulled towards him. Junior brother Lu Yen, save us. They could feel the deep killing intent from Yi Chun. It was precisely this deep killing intent that spared their lives from Yi Chen's strike, as he wanted them to taste the fear of death. They had indeed felt that terror of death. In complete panic and fearing for their lives, the trio could only call for help from their sex prodigy, Lu Yen, hoping he would take action and save them. Boom! As Yi Chun held the three in midair and while they cried for help, with a loud boom, Lu Yen from the Flame sect immediately flew up into the sky. Yi Chun, my fellow Taoist, these three from my sect have been reckless, but their mistakes are not deserving of death. Please spare them this once. I will ensure they are punished and make amends to Taoist Yi Chun. Before leaving the Flame sect, Taoist Chi Mei, a late-stage rotating pill expert of the sect, had instructed them to look out for each other in the ancient tomb and compete for treasures. Lu Yen, as the leader of the Flame sect, would naturally not sit idly by as Yi Chun killed these three half-step rotating pill cultivators. Reckless. Attempting to kill Jiang Yao is merely reckless? What a convenient excuse. Yi Chun glanced at the suddenly emerging Lu Yen and shouted, "Scram!" With a sweep of his hand, a torrential force directly rolled towards Lu Yen, while with his other hand, he grabbed the three half-step rotating pill cultivators from the Flame sect right out of the air. No one could stop the people he intended to kill. Chapter 219, Battle with Lu Yen. Seeing the talented youth Lu Yen of the Flame sect intervene, Yi Chun still didn't back down, not only striking at Lu Yen directly but also seizing those three half-step rotating pills out of thin air, leaving everyone at the scene astonished. Was Yi Chun from the 6th rank sect really going to take on 4 people from the 5th rank Flame sect alone? Previously, Yi Chen's overwhelming 1 versus 3 against the half-step rotating pills had already shocked countless people, but Lu Yen was rumored to be the strongest practitioner of the Flame sect, the personal disciple of Taoist Chi Mei with inscrutable strength. In such a situation, Yi Chun still dared to make a move against him? Just how formidable was this youth's strength to be so domineering and peerless? Everyone on the giant lotus leaf looked up to the sky, eager to see what the outcome of this 1 versus 4 battle would be. As the crowd turned their gaze, Yi Chen's vast and unparalleled true qi had already reached Lu Yen. Lu Yen had not expected Yi Chen to show no regard for his face and dare to make a move directly. His face instantly turned ashen. Yi Chen, it seems you are confident in killing members of my sect in front of me. Good. Then I'll make sure you can't kill them. I want to see who is the stronger one between us. As Lu Yen spoke, the massive true qi within his body billowed out like dense smoke, unlike the pure cyan color of others' true qi, but displaying an eerie purple hue. Clearly, the unfathomable Lu Yen, like Yi Chen, also cultivated a special kind of true qi. Looking up from below, it almost happened in the blink of an eye. In the sky, centered around Lu Yen, a vast expanse of purple true qi smoke spread out, covering a few hundred feet in all directions. The moment this purple true qi smoke dispersed, it split into 2 streams, one directly confronting Yi Chen's attack, while the other wildly reached for the 3 stray cultivators Yi Chen had seized in the air. It seemed that Lu Yen was not only trying to fend off Yi Chen's attack, but also to rescue those 3 stray cultivators from Yi Chen's grasp. Boom! 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 Lu Yen managed to shatter the vast true qi brought forth by Yi Chen, but his attempt to pull the 3 half-step rotating pills out of Yi Chen's void grip was utterly futile. It was evident that Yi Chen's control over the 3 half-step rotating pills was far superior to that of Lu Yen. The reason he could shatter the force of Yi Chen's true qi was that Yi Chen hadn't truly unleashed his deadly skills on him. Lu Yan's face changed in an instant. He knew the extent of his own power. This power could directly kill a half-step rotating pill, yet unexpectedly, it couldn't save even 3 people. Lu Yan's expression changed as he reached out with his palm, and in an instant, an even more robust wave of purple true qi swept out, reaching for the 3 half-step rotating pills again. In the sky, the 3 half-step rotating pills were utterly immobile, now becoming the object of contention between the 2 talented youths. Whoever could seize them would evidently be the more powerful one. From the giant lotus leaf looking into the void, one could see Yi Chen's singularly majestic silver true qi on one side, and Lu Yan's dense purple true qi on the other, both vying for the 3 half-step rotating pills. The 2 forces were struggling for possession of the half-step rotating pills. These 2 youths, the half-step rotating pills below, were utterly shocked to disbelief. Those were 3 formidable half-step rotating pills, and yet, in the struggle between the 2 youths, they couldn't move in the slightest, proving that both young men possessed strength that far surpassed most half-step rotating pills, truly monstrous talents. If swapped with many others present, they would probably be just like those 3 half-step rotating pills from the flame sect in the void, utterly helpless before these 2 youths. This, of course, left everyone utterly astounded. One is the direct disciple of Taoist Qi Mei, the number 1 powerhouse of the 5th-rank flame sect. The other is a genius youth who emerged out of nowhere, making everyone on the 4th Sea Island willingly follow behind him. Between these 2 men, who will prove stronger? Just as this thought flashed through the minds of many, they found that with Lu Yan's increased true qi force, Yi Chen finally made another move. Whoosh! Yi Chen reached out with one hand into the void, and a surging river-like tide of Gang Yuan true qi once again went towards those 3 half-step rotating pills from the flame sect. An astonishing thing happened. No matter how powerful Lu Yan's force was in retrieving those 3 half-step rotating pills, it couldn't withstand Yi Chen's void grip, and those 3 half-step rotating pills were directly seized by Yi Chen, screaming as they flew back towards him. The 3 half-step rotating pills had thought Lu Yan's intervention would save them. But they could never have imagined that their sect's talent, capable of overpowering countless half-step rotating pills, still was no match for Yi Chen after intervening and could not rescue them. If even Lu Yen couldn't save them, then they really were left with no option but the path to death. Their astonishment and screams were beyond control. These 3 half-step rotating pill cultivators were filled with immense regret, lamenting why they thought of killing Jiang Yao for a treasured black pearl relic. They had murdered many for treasures but never imagined they would fall into someone else's hands one day. As these 3 half-step rotating pill cultivators screamed and flew backward towards Yi Chen, and Lu Yen realized he couldn't shake Yi Chen's true chi at all. His face turning ashen in an instant as he moved to chase after the three, and was about to execute his martial techniques. Yi Chen let out a cold snort. In an instant, Yi Chen disappeared from where he stood, and in the next moment, he appeared right in front of the flying trio. These three, daring to kill even Jiang Yao for a treasured black pearl relic, had failed the first time and targeted her again on this central huge island. Such people must not be let off easily. Otherwise, it would lead to endless harm. After teleporting in front of them, Yi Chen simply uttered these two words. Then, the three half-step rotating pill cultivators were horrified to discover a hot geyser of blood spurting out from their necks. Looking down at their necks, they saw an incredibly dazzling sword-intense slice across their throats. Are we just dead like this? No sooner had this thought crossed their minds when the annihilation of their physical bodies led to the instantaneous extinction of their consciousness. The three half-step rotating pill cultivators plummeted from the sky, their bodies severed in two and crashing onto the massive lotus leaf below. From Yi Chen's move to slaying the three half-step rotating pill cultivators, it all happened in the blink of an eye. Everyone still saw Lu Yen chasing after the trio, saw the three half-step rotating pill cultivators flying backward, but before they could discern Yi Chen's movements, they only saw the incredible flash of three sword intents and found the three cultivators dead in the arena. This completely shocked the countless spectators below, causing them to cover their mouths in astonishment. The people in the arena, all experienced in countless bloody battles, were not shocked by the death of the three half-step rotating pill cultivators. They were shocked that the young Yi Chen had managed to kill them even with Lu Yan's interference, and they had not even seen the method Yi Chen used to kill the half-step rotating pill cultivators. Sword intense. Only a few people in the arena, such as Fairy Nishang, recognized Yi Chen's technique. I heard from the girls in my sect that Yi Chen once saved their lives on the Fourth Sea Island. He truly is formidable. Fairy Nishang nodded her head as she looked at Yi Chen. Then, she turned to look at the corpses of the three half-step rotating pill cultivators on the massive lotus leaf, her delicate brows slightly furrowed. These people thought they could bully a disciple of a sixth-rank sect, and yet they died at the hands of one. How laughable. As Fairy Nishang murmured to herself, she waved her hand towards the massive lotus leaf, and a sweep of blue light cleared the leaf. With her gesture, the fallen bodies and blood of the three half-step rotating pill cultivators disappeared without a trace. Afterward, Fairy Nishang looked up toward the sky. This action from Fairy Nishang once again surprised the numerous people in the arena. Such an instantaneous technique to make the bodies of three half-step rotating pill cultivators vanish pointed to an extremely formidable martial technique. Indeed, the ones who could enter the ancient tomb were all masters. With Fairy Nishang and Lu Yen ahead, and now the suddenly emerging Yi Chen, who knows what other formidable characters might be hiding in the crowd, never having revealed their deadly skills? For a moment, many who sought one of the 50 spots to enter Azure Blue Lake, some even harboring murderous intentions, cooled their heads. If they were too arrogant in this ancient tomb, they might become the next to die like these three half-step rotating pill cultivators. Various thoughts filled the minds of everyone in the arena. Meanwhile, Lu Yen in the sky had turned completely livid. Despite his attempt to intervene, he couldn't save the three half-step rotating pill cultivators from the flame sect, and they were still killed by Yi Chen, which was like a slap to his face. He was in the mid-stage of the Spirit Sea Realm while Yi Chen was in the early stage. Both possessed combat power beyond their realms, but in this situation, he, with a higher realm, still found himself at a disadvantage against Yi Chen, which was humiliating. Lu Yen had never been so suppressed since he became a disciple of Taoist Qimei, a late-stage rotating pill expert of the Flame Sect. Now Lu Yan's concern was not just for the three half-step rotating pill cultivators. He needed to regain his own dignity. Good. Yi Chen. You dare to kill my sect members right in front of me. Lu Yen looked at Yi Chen, eyes flashing coldly. Today, I will let you know what happens when you are too arrogant. Boom! As Lu Yen spoke, a purple flame light flashed suddenly in his eyes. At the same time, his hand opened, and an extraordinary purple flame rose in his palm. As soon as this flame appeared, the temperature inside the entire massive lotus leaf space soared, and the true chi inside many half-step rotating pill cultivators began to burn and dissipate in the presence of this scorching aura. This scene caused the half-step rotating pill cultivators to cry out in shock. When Fairy Nishang, looking up into the sky, saw the flicker of purple flame in Lu Yan's hand, disbelief flashed in her eyes. True fire? Could it be that Lu Yan has actually refined a true fire? Chapter 220 True Fire versus Gold Patterns. True fire is a peculiar kind of flame between heaven and earth. Unlike ordinary flames that require other objects to maintain burning, true fire is born directly from between heaven and earth and can burn for thousands, even tens of thousands of years, as long as it is not destroyed. There are many varieties of true fire, and from the moment of its birth, they are categorized by different qualities. Furthermore, as the years of their existence extend, true fire can evolve and transform. Rumor has it, a powerful true fire can even burn a heavenly saint-level expert alive, and even the weakest true fire directly reaches the power ranking of heaven-rank cultivation techniques. In the barbaric wilderness continent, countless records of peculiar true fires are passed down, and one of the most mysterious and powerful true fires that has appeared is said to have been collected by a late-stage heavenly saint realm master from a sea vortex in the chaotic sea. This cluster of true fire, which is rumored to have burned for over 100,000 years, is preserved in the Sea God Palace of the Chaotic Sea. Such true fires are rare encounters in 10,000 years, and even the weaker ones are exceedingly difficult to find. Even the lowest grade heaven-rank true fire requires one to have reached the rotating pill realm in strength, and to have merged with the fire element law from the 5 heavenly void laws to have a chance of collecting it. And to refine true fire into one's body for personal use is even more challenging. Even a rotating pill realm expert who has merged with the fire element law from the 5 heavenly void laws, when refining the lowest grade true fire, can be burned to ashes in an instant if they're not careful. For a cultivator below the rotating pill realm who hasn't come into contact with the fire element laws, successfully refining true fire is extremely difficult. Unless one is naturally extremely suited to cultivate with the fire element laws in their bloodline and physical body, coupled with ample preparation and cultivation technique nurturing, plus a stroke of luck, there's only a slim chance to refine true fire with a cultivation level below the rotating pill realm. Therefore, when Fairy Nishang saw the purple flames in Lu Yan's hands, she couldn't believe it. Although she didn't know what true fire Lu Yan was holding, the peculiar behavior when the true fire burned was unlike any other flame, and Fairy Nishang, who had cultivated for hundreds of years, surely would not mistake it. Lu Yan, who was only at the mid-stage of the spirit sea realm and still a teenager, was able to refine true fire successfully, which naturally astonished Fairy Nishang to no end. With true fire, Lu Yan would definitely be able to sweep away most of the half-step rotating pill experts and could undoubtedly be called a supreme expert among those in the spirit sea realm. At this moment, seeing Lu Yan take out the true fire to deal with Yi-chan, even Fairy Nishang couldn't help but worry for Yi-chan. When the true fire burned, many people who were unaware of its origin realized something from the fact that the true chi within their bodies spontaneously burned off and disappeared upon contact with the flames, understood that the flames Lu Yan held were no ordinary matter. It was likely that Lu Yan managed to become the leader of all the sect disciples from the great sect of the Flame Sect who entered the ancient tomb precisely by using this method. Yi-chan. Zhang Yao also looked at Yi-chan with immense concern at this moment. As the true fire burned, the true chi in Zhang Yao's body also spontaneously surged through her meridians and even stirred her bloodline's secret skills, which she had to suppress to calm the agitation of her true chi. To know that Zhang Yao's bloodline secret skills, having only been cultivated to the second layer, gave her the strength to contend against half-step rotating pill, not even Zhang Yao herself knew the origin of her bloodline secret skills. But Zhang Yao did know that anything that could stir her bloodline secret skills was not simple at all. The flames in Lu Yan's hands right now were just that kind of not simple thing. And Lu Yan bringing out these flames to deal with Yi-chan naturally made Zhang Yao extremely worried. In the void heaven, staring at the divine and peculiar purple flames in his palm, Lu Yan then raised his head to look at Yi-chan. Yi-chan, I won't let you lose in confusion. This flame is a heaven-rank true fire called soul-devouring true fire, collected by my master Taoist Chi Mei from the central region misty peak of the barbaric wilderness continent. When this true fire emerges, any contact with the heaven and earth true chi will immediately be burned. If you fall to this soul-devouring true fire today or die under it, don't blame me. Boom! As Lu Yen spoke, with a slight shake of his palm, the purple flame in his hand instantly merged into the rolling purple true chi outside his body. Instantly, the purple true chi surrounding Lu Yen began to burn furiously, emitting an unparalleled heat and purple glow. Soul-devouring true fire. It's actually a kind of true fire. Hearing Lu Yan's words, many people on the huge lotus leaf below who knew of true fire exclaimed in shock, and those who didn't know what true fire was, after asking around and realizing how powerful it was, also took a deep breath. Seeing Lu Yen act like this, it seemed he was going to confront Yi Chun with true fire, which, being a heaven-ranked true fire, was the lowest amongst countless types of true fires but was absolutely sufficient against those in the spirit sea realm and half-step rotating pill. If one couldn't withstand the killing force of a heaven-ranked cultivation technique, they would definitely die under this true fire. Yi Chun, do you want me to make a move to help you? Just as countless people were marveling at the sudden release of true fire by Lu Yen, Yi Chun, who was directly facing Lu Yen, suddenly heard divine sense transmission from Fairy Nishang. Fairy Nishang? Yi Chun looked at Fairy Nishang, puzzled as to why she would offer to help him. My martial sister is Fairy Nixia, and she is friends with Fairy Jialuo from your Taishan sect. Plus, you saved a sect disciple of our sect on the Fourth Sea Island. If you can't handle this true fire, I can help you resist it. Fairy Nishang continued to transmit her message. Even if the true fire was extraordinarily powerful, as Fairy Nishang had stepped into half-step rotating pill for hundreds of years, she naturally had the means to deal with it. Simultaneously, Jiang Yao also transmitted to Yi Chun. Yi Chun, shall we join forces against Lu Yen? Clearly, when Lu Yen revealed his true fire skills, many began to worry for Yi Chun. Yi Chun gave Jiang Yao and Fairy Nishang a gentle smile and transmitted back, "No need. This true fire can't hurt me." For some reason, when Lu Yen unleashed his true fire, Yi Chun even felt that the 9 transformation fighting body cultivation technique he practiced, along with the countless golden monkey spirit patterns fused into his body, were all surging vehemently. It seemed as if the true fire held a mysterious stimulus for Yi Chun's 9 transformation fighting body technique. The 9 transformation fighting body was a bone pattern secret transmission left by Heavenly Saint Di Kong. By cultivating it to the 9th transformation, one could even attain combat power on the level of the Heavenly Saints, which was certainly no less extraordinary than Lu Yan's true fire. Although Yi Chun had not yet cultivated to the 9th transformation and had only touched upon the 4th transformation, he was already confident in his ability to deal with this true fire. Furthermore, the Gang Yuan true chi that Yi Chun cultivated was not ordinary heaven and earth true chi but a special type of true chi that originated from the Gang Yuan chapter of the primordial star scripture. While everyone else's true chi was burning away upon the release of Lu Yan's true fire, the roaring Gang Yuan true chi within Yi Chun's body, when faced with the true fire, did not exhibit the slightest abnormality. Clearly, mere heaven-rank, soul-devouring true fire could not directly burn Yi Chun's true chi. Yi Chun's methods were not limited to just the 9 transformation fighting body and Gang Yuan true chi. He had many other techniques at his disposal, so naturally, he was unafraid of Lu Yen. In the midst of everyone's anxious gazes, Yi Chun looked at Lu Yen and called out, "Make your move!" Yi Chun knew the reason Lu Yen wanted to battle him. The 3 deceased flame sect disciples were just the catalyst. What Lu Yen truly sought was to demonstrate his own strength by defeating Yi Chun. Lu Yen wanted to prove himself, and Yi Chun also wanted to see just how extraordinary this true fire really was. So let the true contest begin to see who would be superior. Seeing Yi Chun's fearless demeanor, Lu Yen sneered inwardly, truly ignorant of the vastness of heaven and earth. Boom! The moment he sneered inwardly, Lu Yen made his move. His body, enveloped by swirling purple true chi flames, instantly transformed him into a blaze of fire shooting towards Yi Chun. As the fire blaze shot forward, several droplets of flame fell, scaring several late-stage Spirit Sea disciples, who were standing below, into leaping away before they even touched down. These late-stage Spirit Sea disciples were shocked to find that as the falling flames passed by them, more than half of their true chi had dissipated, as if devoured. The soul-devouring true fire truly was extraordinary. And in the sky, could Yi Chun truly handle the full force of the burning flames? Just as they looked towards the sky, they were astonished to see Yi Chun, instead of dodging, boldly confronting Lu Yen head-on. Yi Chun was indeed fearless against the true fire and dared to clash directly with Lu Yen. In the instant of their collision, a fierce smile flashed across Lu Yan's face, and with a palm strike towards Yi Chun, a massive wave of flames burst forth, engulfing Yi Chun. But at that moment, Yi Chun flipped his palm and grasped the flames directly. Looking towards Yi Chun's palm, one could see divine golden patterns shimmering upon it. These were none other than the 9 transformation golden body talisman patterns from Yi Chun's cultivation of the 9 transformation fighting body. Yi Chun dares to grab the true fire with his hands? Heavens, it said that if true fire falls on a half-step rotating pill without the protection of a heaven-rank cultivation technique, even the half-step rotating pill can be burned to nothing. Does Yi Chun not know how terrifying true fire is? Amidst the shocked cries from below, Yi Chun's palm, flickering with the 9 transformation golden body talisman patterns, had already directly grasped the soul-devouring true fire. Many people closed their eyes, not daring to watch. Yet, they suddenly heard the voices of disbelief from those around them who kept their eyes open. When they opened their eyes and looked up at the sky again, they were horrified to see that the massive wave of true fire that was headed for Yi Chun had been completely snuffed out by his palms. And there stood Yi Chun, without a scratch on him, not only unharmed but also wearing an excited smile on his face. Everyone watching from below was stunned by this development. What they didn't know was that as Yi Chun snuffed out the true fire with his 9 transformation golden body talisman pattern palms, he felt the golden patterns in contact with the true fire stimulate growth in his inner energy, as if invigorating his 9 transformation fighting body's 4th transformation. Yi Chun was seeking to comprehend the connection between the 4th transformation of the 9 transformation fighting body and the true fire, but Lu Yen, who battled against Yi Chun, seemed as if he had seen a ghost. He had never witnessed anyone able to extinguish his true fire with their bare hands. What exactly were those golden lines on Yi Chun's palms that made them impervious even to true fire? What kind of monster was Yi Chun, to possess such an array of fierce techniques? Lu Yen was shouting within his heart. I can't believe it. I can't believe that my painstakingly cultivated true fire can't even handle an early-stage Spirit Sea cultivator. Unable to accept this outcome, Lu Yen opened his mouth and spewed forth an even more fearsome purple fire, the true fire itself, directly aimed at Yi Chun. This was no longer the true fire merged with his true chi. This was the true fire essence that Lu Yen had truly refined. With one move rendered ineffective, Lu Yen now unleashed the destructive might of the true fire essence.